Well, good evening. What's going on, guys? We're going to get started here in about a minute and a half. I can see you, James. Thanks for popping in here early. What's up, Gaston, Roving Fungus, Chef Pete? I see you. What's up, Raz, Gordo, first and second over on Rumble. Good evening, guys. Steve in England gets first over on YouTube. What's up, Dagger Spells is here. Welcome back. How you doing? We got Richard in Texas. Poncho. Let's get this party started. Yeah, indeed, right? What's up, Dawn? I see you there. Yeah, getting ready to go. For once, I'm ahead. And by the way, I moved my entire workflow over from the old PC to this PC, so everything's like kind of humming now. And I thought I wasn't going to have enough time. I'm like, I'm dead. I'm cooked. I'm not going to be able to do this. I got home late. It was just a disaster at work. You know how things just go sideways sometimes. And I was like, I'm going to have to cancel. I'm going to have to cancel. And for whatever reason, I was able to pull it out of my ass. And here we go. So kind of we're going to take this, and this is the preamble. So this isn't really the show yet, but just a heads up. We're going to take this sort of as like a generic Halloween show. But there's also an amazing theory that goes along with this. So, yeah, strap in. Just what's your favorite thing about Halloween? And that's what's on my mind as we get started. What's up? DTM is here. What's up, Fred? I see you. Good evening, guys. What is up? Hope you are well tonight. 15 seconds. Troubled Minds coming up, and we'll get started. Yeah, I got new buttons, so pray for me that these new buttons don't break. And here we go. Troubled Minds happening. Oh, right now, pressing new buttons.
But I think the development of full artificial intelligence will spell the end of the human race.
It's a flying object and we don't know what it is. I would hope somebody's checking it out.
I don't know if it was a rocket or whatever, but it could be fast, opposite direction. It was too fast to be an airplane.
I'm glad the Pentagon is looking at this, because if it poses a threat, I want them on top of it.
Well, the craft generates its own gravitational field.
You said there's lights in the sky?
The internet has become the command center for criminals and terrorists.
911, what's your emergency? I need help, please help!
Aliens won't let it happen. You know, that's what we're instructed to say.
Roswell, Area 51. Alien kept deep under the ground.
1, self-serving. You're here for a reason. You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio. Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness. Good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting. And, of course, 88.4 FM, Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight, we're going to get a little bit more Halloween as we go. It is October 14th as we march inexorably on toward All Hallows Eve. Tonight, I got a novel theory here, I think, that we talk about the veil an awful lot when it comes to this season. The weather changes, we start to feel different, things start to feel different around us. And there's a lot of statistical, interesting information that correlates to maybe the veil isn't thinning at all, but instead, we're the ones changing instead of the weather. You get what I mean? Well, if you don't, I'll explain as we go. But this is an interesting one because I was digging into this, doing a deep dive, and I was like, wait a minute now. So are you telling us it's all in our mind? No, that could never be. That could never be a thing, could it? That seems ridiculous to suggest that that's the case with all of the complicated human circuitry and consciousness and all the things we don't know anything really about yet. Even though, we've been in the human meat suit experience for, collectively thousands and thousands and thousands of years, depending on who you ask. Sometimes, go back to 200,000 years or whatever to the original Homo naledi and beyond at this point too. They're saying we're even further back than that as a species. Anyway, I digress there. But the point tonight is we're going to open this up a little differently too, and just kind of do one of the generic Halloween show as well. So because it's kind of halfway through the month, I think it's a good time to kind of do that. This theory is great. It goes deep and there's a lot here. And so we can touch on that. But basically, let's start with just the idea of, and we've done this years past as well, but let's start with just the idea of what do you love about this time of year? What is it that makes Halloween your favorite or one of your favorite seasons? And why do you think that is? So we'll start with that question as we begin. And we'll also go to this article that is, well, what the inspiration for this. Lucky I came across this because, like I said, I was short on time and was like, oh man, what am I going to do? I'm grasping for straws. And the first article, I scroll my thing and I'm like, oh, this is perfect. Here we go. So Science Alert reports this. The human mind isn't meant to be awake past midnight, scientists warn. Right? Okay. Right. I mean, very clickbaity, very dangerous, very scary for Halloween, but it's also something we've talked about quite a lot in the past, sort of the night shift aspect, why some people feel more alive at midnight, and you stay up till 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. or whatever, and you're totally fine. And then even if you've had plenty of sleep, 7 a.m. or 6 a.m. comes too early, or 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. or whenever you guys wake up, and let's hope it's not that early. That's grotesque, and I feel sorry for you, but you get what I mean here. So there is a weird sort of aspect to this particular space, the witching hour, right? The midnight hour. And if you go kind of into the old prude ways of things, and I mean that in the nicest way, going back to like the 50s or whatever, that which I wasn't alive quite back then, but if you go back to the 50s, right, they say, and the actual idea probably holds that nothing good happens after midnight, right? And so that's kind of an extension of this. And it's an interesting thing here. Let me read just a little bit from the article. And here you go. So in the middle of the night, the world can sometimes feel like a dark place. Under the cover of darkness, negative thoughts have a way of drifting through your mind. As you lie awake, staring at your ceiling, you might start craving guilty pleasures, like a cigarette or a carb-heavy meal. Plenty of evidence suggests the human mind functions differently if awake at nighttime. Past midnight, negative emotions tend to draw our attention more than positive ones. Dangerous ideas grow in appeal and inhibitions fall away. It's usually when I just get naked anyway. Just throw the clothes on the floor and start dancing on the table. I'm just kidding. But anyway, some researchers think the human circadian rhythm is heavily involved in these critical changes in function, as they outlined in a 2022 paper summarizing the evidence of how brain systems function differently after dark. Okay, cool. You're like, yeah, big deal. Big deal, Mike. We've talked about this. Hold on, though. This is layered, and this gets deeper than you believe. So the hypothesis, called mind after midnight, suggests the human body and human mind follow a natural 24-hour cycle of activity that influences our emotions and behavior. Wouldn't you say? More control mechanisms, right? As I'm always talking about. In short, at certain hours, our species is inclined to feel and act in certain ways. In the daytime, for instance, molecular levels and brain activity are tuned to wakefulness. But at night, our usual behavior is put to sleep. Ow, ow, ow! It's as the moon comes out, right? Okay, so this is where we start. Now, this layers because this idea in and of itself is a good place to start. And it is, the eternal night shift versus the morning, the early bird, the morning person that prefers to wake up at the crack of dawn and see the sunrise and all the rest of that, which I am not. I'm not really that type of guy. I'd rather, have the sun be up a little bit, have it be a little warm, be able to put my toes in the grass when I go out and not freeze my bippy off. You get what I'm saying here. But anyway, in this particular case, the layering comes into not just the idea of It was a dark and stormy night as we talk about that old trope of scary stories in October. But beyond, it turns into something greater. It turns into, as not just the let's say, the nights get longer, the days get shorter. It certainly affects this, okay? Because our normal summer state is now sort of declining, and we're now getting used to the darkness itself, okay? Now, here's the kicker, and here's where this gets weird. And the second question is, first question is, what do you love about Halloween? Period. Well, All Hallows Eve. Let's talk about the season. Let's talk about the ideas. Let's talk about the veil thinning. And the second idea and the second question becomes this. Is it possible that the veil itself, as we describe it in human terms, isn't thinning at all? But we are changing as something like this idea that the mind isn't meant to be awake past midnight. But what about if, in the same sense, when we're rolling through October, we're changing on a chemical level, on a molecular level in some ways, in this circadian rhythm aspect of humans? And when you start to pile these things on top of each other, I think it makes a compelling case for, of course, the veil is inside of us. Now, and what I mean by that is that the shaman of old spent tons of time doing all those things, right? The rituals and all the things that they did, the cleansing, the purification, all the things to really draw themselves into this larger space of, I don't know, what would you call it? Not ascension, but wisdom, energy, drawing information from the past, from the ancestors, all the rest, right? To kind of peek beyond that veil. Now, in this particular case, isn't it strange that maybe, just maybe, and this is the second question, and I'll get to making the case after the break here, but maybe, just maybe, October and after the autumn equinox is a large shamanic ritual space, and we are adeptly tuned to it to start recognizing the veil within. That's the second question. You think that's possible? That's where we start. I hope you're feeling well tonight. I'm doing good. It was a horrific day, but I'm feeling better because I got this out, and sometimes you just got to get an idea out of you that you just can't shake. Anyway, let's get a word from our sponsor. In this case, let's go Human Inspiration. Be right back. More Troubled Minds on the way in exactly 1 minute. Don't go anywhere. We got James coming up and your calls as well. Of course, we are taking your calls at 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. But for the meantime, be right back. 1 minute. See ya on the other side of the break. In a world increasingly shaped by AI, human inspiration remains the beating heart of creativity. Alien Skin by Tremble, a hauntingly beautiful piano ballad, reminds us that while algorithms can mimic art, the raw, unfiltered emotions of human experience are irreplaceable.
So here I sit, locked in my room again.
Written and composed by Jesse Ian in collaboration with Todd Smith, this progressive masterpiece delves into the depths of internalized grief and the silent toll of artistic compromise. As AI reshapes our reality, Alien Skin stands as a testament to the timeless power of human emotion and the complex beauty that only true artists can evoke. Experience the haunting beauty of Alien Skin by Tremble and support human inspiration. Available now on iTunes. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Let us continue, shall we? Okay, let's straight to the write-up. This is the best way to do it, is to just read it straight so I don't muddy the waters any further. It goes like this. Put it together. Geomagnetic storms hammer Earth throughout October. 4 coronal mass ejections are racing towards Earth right now, scheduled to hit between October 15th and 17th, with G2 geomagnetic storms expected October 16th. Just days before that, a massive coronal hole opened and sent high-speed solar winds streaming toward Earth around October 11th and 12th. October 2025 has seen relentless geomagnetic activity. These aren't folklore predictions. These are NOAA measurements, satellite data, space weather forecasts issued by government agencies tracking actual electromagnetic bombardment of the planet. Now, the harvest and the hunter's moon, in this particular case, now put these ideas together as we go, suppress melatonin for consecutive nights. October's full moons fall near the autumn equinox, creating extended periods of bright moonlight night after night due to orbital mechanics. The moon rises almost immediately after sunset for several consecutive nights, flooding the landscape with light during hours that should be dark. Room light before bedtime suppresses melatonin by 71% and shortens your internal night by 90 minutes. Now, these statistics, I will have links on all of them. I got links citing all this stuff. So I know statistics and damn statistics. Shout out to Mark Twain. But so believe it or not, it's okay. I'll have receipts on this. And if it's not close, it's because of a hallucination. But anyway, so moonlight isn't as bright as indoor lighting, but it's enough to shift the circadian phase, especially when it persists across multiple nights. Your brain expects melatonin surge and circadian reset. Instead, it gets extended twilight. This creates a liminal neurological state, not quite day, not quite night. The wild hunt, that ghostly procession of spirits and otherworldly beings, was said to ride during the hunter's moon. Maybe what people saw wasn't spirits, but the hypnagogic intrusions that happen when moonlight prevents proper sleep architecture for nights on end. We'll leave it there. This gets better and better, and it layers more and more, including, of course, the fact that not only is it changing, and it's nice and cool here. It was a lovely day weather-wise in Vegas, as I've been saying. Thank goodness, no more roasting my gonads off. It's not the best when you're out there in 110 degrees. However, it's certainly changing a lot of things, and I detect I don't know. Do you feel it? Do you feel a change in the air? Really becomes the second question as part of this larger context, and we'll get to the rest. But I'm going to make the case tonight that beyond the witching hour, there's also this liminal space happening, not just with the veil thinning as has been described in the esoteric ways of old, but our actual chemistry is changing in this space to crave those sweets. Anybody eating too much Halloween candy already? I am. Mrs. Strange bought a bag and I'm gobbling the hell out of that thing like I've never eaten candy in my life. And I don't even eat candy. I go all year long, and I don't. People offer me a candy at work, and I say, no, thank you, I don't eat candy. And I'm just gobbling the hell out of it. So what the hell's going on with this? And why is it we call this sort of the beginning of eating season, right? And this whole bit, it's just a strange thing how even our different behaviors become locked into this space of, well, I don't know what comes next. I don't know. Anyway, so we're starting that tonight, Beyond the Witching Hour. I'm calling it Soul Cake Surprise. We'll get to the Soul Cake as we go, but think about that eating aspect and sort of that comfort food and the weird changing of not just the geomagnetic storms, the time changes, which is coming at the end of the month here, and all the rest of the stuff, which is weird and tends to throw us off of our base of normal operation. Now, do you think it affects us? And do you think this is a larger societal shamanic journey? That's what's on my mind tonight. Love to hear what you have to say. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Thanks for being patient, my man. Let's go to James Salcedo. What's up? You are on Troubled Minds. How are you, sir? Thanks for being patient. Go right ahead.
I'm okay. Glad to be here. And cake. Sounds good.
Cake. You had me at cake. But this is a soul cake, though, James. It's different. You sure you want a soul cake?
Well, I mean, I guess I should find out what's in it first, but, I mean... yeah, I probably should, I guess. I'll wait and see what it's about.
Okay, all right. Well, I'll ask you the question again at the end. But welcome to the joint. What's on your mind? Go right ahead.
The time of the morning, the morning, and then also the way that we change physically on all the different levels. I do think it is connected to the veil, or whatever we think of as the veil. Just that time of the morning alone, as you know, there's just so many reports from people about paranormal experiences. And not even just paranormal in terms of ghosts or spirits or, of course, the common one, everything is demons, the idea. But also, in some cases, lights coming from the sky. Not the moonlight, other lights, and entering and leaving people's homes and things. So it's that time of morning it's not so much that everything happens at that time, but there is a lot that does happen in that part of the morning that is really, I mean, if you think about it, it's so in between sleep, in the middle of that sleep phase for a lot of people. It's because some people will stay up until midnight, but then they'll go to bed. And then, of course, some people will get up at 6 or 7 in the morning. So it is right there in the middle of everything.
Yeah, It is a strange time. And me, I've said this before, I'm of the night shift. I'm a night owl. If I didn't have to wake up for work, I get up around, maybe 10 to 7 or something like that, quarter to 7 in that space. If I didn't actually wake up because of work, I would stay up till 3 or 4. I'd wake up at maybe 9 or 10, it just sort of my natural cycle. And I'm more productive late at night. I mean, less interruptions. My brain seems to just catch fire with ideas. And again, back to where we started with this article, the human mind isn't meant to be awake past midnight, scientists warn, which seems ridiculous and crazy. But I mean, it's clickbait season, of course, 24 hours a day. And it's also that time of the year. So anyway, go ahead. What else you got?
Yeah, I mean, just for myself, as some people here know, because they see me active on Discord at 2 or 3 in the morning sometimes. That's usually how late I stay up, until anywhere from 3 till 4 or 5 in the morning, a lot of days. And then I get up at like 7 or 8 or 9, depending on because I'm legally blind and my eyes bother me. So I usually don't get like 6 or more hours sleep at one time. But yeah, so, and I feel the same way about that time. I'm usually more productive or I'm more interested in doing things when I can at that time. And so, yeah, and then like I said, I do think that a lot of what is considered paranormal can have or does have reasons for it in the physical world. It's just that they haven't all been discovered yet. I really do think that's part of it. And some of these reasons are within us, and some are outside of us. And I think you combine all that together, and that can cause a lot of things to happen that are not easy to explain even today.
Yeah, which is exactly the point of tonight, and very well said, all that. Because how much of this do you think is, the change in the weather, the change in all the stuff we're talking? The write-up is very good. It's a little dense with statistics and some kind of making the case, which is not normally what I do. But I thought it was enough compelling stuff there to be like, okay, let's just leave it in as it is, not rewrite it as prose, and kind of leave it as making the case for the let's say, the time that's changing, the weather and all the rest, is obviously measurable. But the change within us as part of it, sort of those neurochemical changes of ourselves, certainly is a little bit more ambiguous because we don't know exactly what to measure. Everybody's a little different. Everybody's affected differently by different things. But as usual, right, in a larger context of society, I do wonder if the veil is this larger shamanic societal ritual, which is what's on my mind tonight. What else you got, James? Got a few minutes left if you got anything else.
Well, first of all, happy to sit in if that's okay on this one.
Of course. Because
it is a big topic. Thank you. And the energy itself to me is fascinating, and the electromagnetic field and all that fluctuations. Because the big thing with that that EM energy is that it is said to do two things. If there's a lot of this energy around. It's said to either make us feel like we are experiencing being watched or experiencing paranormal activity, but also it's said to possibly generate paranormal activity. So there's a paradox there with that energy. And if you take that into account with people's emotions and it being said and thought that people, when they have emotions and they go through heightened emotions, it can generate energy around them. And sometimes they can end up manipulating objects around them unintentionally, then why wouldn't there be things happening at that time in the night, in the morning, where you are thinking about things that you may not think about during the day when you are more active?
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, my brain just works better at night. It's why we do this show at night. It's, I've done a daily news show in the daytime around 2 p.m. or something. And it's fine, but it's not a creative thing. It's sort of just reading the news and kind of, light commentary on the news. But certainly the creative mind for me kicks in late. And to me, I'm two different people. Like I'm, business in the front, party in the back, as they say with the mullet, turning my brain from, a business mic to a creative mic. It's a weird thing. It's a weird transition, but it's always been that way for me. Whether I'm working or not, or, how professional I am with my alien face and my nice hair, whatever, right? Like this is the type of stuff that makes you go, well, am I the only one experiencing this? And this is why it's important to talk to other people about these wild ideas. About 45 seconds.
Yeah, and I don't think you're the only one. I think the biggest thing is that it's whether or not people feel comfortable enough to talk about these things, as always, and whether or not they find people that they feel they can talk about these things with them. So yeah, looking forward to the rest of the show.
You are the best. You know him, you love him. That's James Salcedo. He'll be sitting with us tonight, the paranormal expert of troubled minds. Go check out his podcast, his radio show. Go check out the books he's written. Check out the merch. Sweets has got a link to that. Pretty please if you're out there, Sweets. And we need to link that on your website. Did we link that to your website, James?
Yes, we did.
Okay, so
not the video, but the merch store is there. Yes.
Okay, so the merch store. Okay, thank you for reminding me. It was a minute ago when we did it. Please follow our friend James SalcidoParanormal.com, SALSIDO paranormal.com. Go check it out. Everything, his books are there, his podcast, the radio show, everything's on that website. So go check it out. And his merch store. Sweets helped him put up some new merch too, which is pretty cool. Halloween season, and of course the paranormal expert of troubled minds. You would expect him to have some Halloween merch. So shout out to Sweets for helping make that happen. But so yeah, what do you think? Your Halloween stuff. What's your favorite part of it? And then the other question as part of this is simply, have you ever felt uniquely off or haunted during October nights? And do you think it's more Carl Jung or more Carl Sagan? That's what's on my mind tonight. If you want to be part of the conversation, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Be right back. More on the way. See you on the other side of the break. Don't go anywhere. New buttons. Let's see here. AI song. That's what I want. There we go.
Midnight falls, the veil grows thin. Aurora sweet, the harvest moon grins. Jack-o'-lanterns guard, liminal doors are bound. Shadow-drenched silence, reality shifts around. 3 a.m. secrets whisper through the haze. October's chill, where the spirit plays. When the shadows dance in the glow of the night, whispers in the air, everything feels right. The night is alive, the world fades away. Streetlights flicker, guiding souls astray. Figures in the mist, lost in their dreams. With every heartbeat, the silence screams. Ghosts in the alleys, memories collide. Stepping through echoes, there's nowhere to hide. When the shadows dance in the glow of the night, whispers in the air, everything feels right. Embrace the stillness, let your heart unwind. Dance in the darkness, leave the past behind. The moonlight glimmers, casting shadows like ink. In this fleeting moment, we share and we think. When the shadows dance in the glow of the night, whispers in the air, everything feels right.
Sorry about that. It sounded better without headphones. And then I put the headphones on and I'm like, ooh, this is horrible. Sorry, guys. What's up, Gaston, Matt's, what's up, Chef Pete? Daryl's here. What's up, Dragon Rose? Roving Fungus, Apoc, Sweets, Dawn, Mephisto. That's Jacob. What's up, Molly and Hirsch? I hope you guys are well tonight. Yeah, sorry. I probably ran a bunch of people off. That wasn't my intention at all. You can't win them all. Stephen England, Sweets, what's up? Fred's over there. What's up, Treeland? How are you? Good evening. What's up, Michelle? Hello. What's going on? Hey, what's up, AJ8383? Hey, homie, I checked out your video and I want to sell you some things. Get out of here, bro. Get out of here. Richard in Texas, what's going on, guys? If I missed any of you, just let me know and I'll circle back and say hi. What's up, DTM? Richard in Texas, Poncho, I see you. Let's get weird. Dagger spells, I see there. What is up? Over to Rumble. What's up, Gordo? Puff is here. What's up, Raz? YY, good evening. Hiker's here. Hello. Like I said, if I miss anybody, just let me know and I'll circle back and say hi as we go tonight. And we do not wish to know about your roasted gonads. Yeah, it's a fact of life, though. I mean, you live in Vegas. These things happen. Who else? Yep. Oh, yeah, I'm going the alien theme in my face tonight. Yeah, it's maybe we'll change it to a scary clown later or something. We'll see. Anyway, what's up? I hope you're well tonight. Here we go. Trouble Minds coming up. And what's your favorite part about Halloween as we go? And I didn't ask James that. I'll ask him here when we get back. Here we go. Trouble Minds happening right about now. New buttons. Let's see. Pray for me. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting, which you can find at troubledminds.org, the black button on top. Also, we're on 88.4 FM Auckland, New Zealand. And tonight, what's up, Margie? I see you there over on Rumble. Tonight, could October really be a time when reality's usual boundaries slip, leaving us exposed to strange moods, unfiltered perceptions, and ancient instincts? Is it possible that the darkening season, the restless nights, and our old rituals aren't just stories, but clues to a deeper truth about human consciousness? And basically, as we go tonight, I'll be slowly making the case that it's not Halloween itself. It's not the season itself. It's how we react to it. It's our sort of neurochemical change from the summertime to past the autumn equinox, when everything's in equilibrium, as the darkness takes hold. And I think it does have an actual chemical change in people. And that's the case I'm making tonight, slowly as we go. And love to hear your thoughts on this. As usual, you know me. I'm just the reason I do this is to talk to people and get ideas and consider maybe what we're missing, or maybe commiserate, or maybe have somebody say, nah, I don't think you're on the right trail at all, Mike, which is completely fine too. That's why we do this, to talk to each other, and we can disagree and still be friends tomorrow. That's what this is all about. Love to hear your thoughts. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Back to James. I have that question for you, my man. What is your favorite part about spooky season?
Well, I think it's the fact that people are, in general, are a little more open to the ideas that we talk about here and on my own podcast as well, Salcedo Paranormal. They're a little more open to that in a lot of cases during this time of year than they can be at other times of the year. That's my favorite part. All the decorations and all that are they're amazing to look at. It's not something I'm really into doing myself, but and of course, I mean, I have no problem technically with the candy, even though I do, but I don't. I think everyone knows what I mean there. But yeah, it's just the openness to talk about these things, or to consider these possibilities, or at least to get into them a little more. And really that's it, because I'm not huge into like the whole horror movie phenomenon, like the whole that kind of thing, which may sound funny to some people. I prefer to read my horror and be able to sort of tone things down if I'm not so interested in certain aspects of a story in my own mind. But yeah, so just the openness to talk about what's out there, what might be out there at this time of year.
Yeah, that's a good one too, because a lot of people do think about these things. It's just not sort of top of their mind. And for us, us weirdos, being the paranormal experts you are, and then me being sort of the semi-pro weirdo of doing just weird stuff as part of the show. I mean, I'm always looking for not just inspiration, but new things that I've never heard of, that I can learn about, that I can bring to you guys. And hopefully you've never heard about it too, or know just a little bit about it. And then we can talk about this in the larger context of folklore, and talk about it in terms of history, and talk about it in terms of what's coming next. It's yeah. So, I mean, for us, you and me, and, probably most of the people to listen to this, a lot of these ideas kind of bounce off you like water off a duck, because you've heard a lot of them, or, you're kind of into the idea of it, or else you wouldn't be here. But you're right. People are definitely, the normies are more open to kind of talking about this wild stuff by dark of night, as I like to say. And yeah, welcome to it. So the questions for you guys tonight, again, what's your favorite thing about Halloween? That's the first one. 2, do you think that we're actually, what's the other question here? Let me read this. Let me get it right. Have you ever felt uniquely off or haunted during October nights? And then the premise of the show, of course, is, do you think it has less to do with sort of the changing calendar and the weather, and more to do with some sort of neurochemical basis within our brains, our collective brain, even the collective zeitgeist? And we did talk about this last week a little bit in this sense, but very differently. And so I do wonder, like I said, read the write-up if you're super interested in kind of deep dive in here. And I'll even share the perplexity sort of thread that I went through to get this. But I think it's fascinating. And I think we are in a particular space where it remains unclear. It remains unclear what sort of causes this hysteria, not just a cultural impact, but the sort of legacy impact of it that's been around forever. But we'll get to the soul cakes in a second here. But anything to add, James? And I'll get back to the write-up to continue to make the case. As usual, guys, we do this to include you. So if you want to be part of the conversation, love to hear what you think about Halloween, All Hallows Eve, Dia de los Muertos, All Souls Day, a lot of things coming up. What do you know about it? James, if you got anything else, go ahead. If not, I got tons of stuff to get to.
Well, I'm really curious about this time of year, and I know this is what we're talking about here is something more because it's has to do with the planet, the orbit, and the weather and all that changing. I'm really curious because I know I've heard that in the southern hemisphere, the weather can be the opposite, if I'm not mistaken, where when it's summer here, it's winter down in the southern hemisphere part of the world, if I'm not mistaken. And so I'm just curious, is there in, let's say, March or April in the southern half of the planet, is that their version of October?
It is.
I'm just curious about that now.
It is. Shout out to Tam Bam. We haven't seen her in a minute, but she lives in South Africa, and we talked to her, and during Christmas time for her, it's like the hot season. So they're like the dead of summer for Christmas, and they're just roasting their gonads off down there. And oddly enough, right, a hot Christmas to us seems ridiculous because it's the opposite. But yeah, indeed, that is exactly true. I have friends in the southern hemisphere, and that's absolutely a thing. You're right.
Right, I thought so, and that makes me wonder about just I think there's cycles and cycles within cycles of almost everything, and you have that in the weather, you have that in the way that comes and goes throughout the world. So I wonder if all that energy shifting around can cause different things to happen. The one other point I want to make, the fascinating thing about being up or waking up in the middle of the night, is that in a lot of experiences I've heard and read about, people will wake up in the middle of the night around 2 or 3 or 4 in the morning, and sometimes it'll be for no apparent reason, and they won't have anything going on, no apparitions or sounds or whatever. They'll just wake up, and nothing will happen at the time. But then there's other people that will wake up, not because they heard something necessarily, but that like they sensed something, and they will completely wake up, and have an experience with something that they can't explain after that. So that waking up at that time is also fascinating. And how does that work? And is it because of the energy and the way it goes through our cells and our bodies and all that?
Yeah, I would think so. And that becomes, again, so that at scale is really what's on my mind tonight. And how does it affect us beyond sort of a moment? Because I think the moment gets stretched into a larger temporal space, as we like to call this, stretched out over time, a spooky night or a 3 a.m. wake up. And everybody does this, right? It's not just me. But we're pattern recognition experts as people, of course, but you wake up and you look at the clock and it's like 3:33, right? Or it's 2:22 or whatever it is. And this is the type of stuff people are really watching for in a lot of ways. But the problem becomes is that we as bad bean counters of our own psyche, we also don't recognize the times that, you wake up and it's, 3:15, or, you look at the clock and it's 1:05 or whatever, right? So we recognize the things that are interesting and fascinating and synchronistic or whatever. But then beyond that, we're such lousy bean counters when it comes to ourselves and biased and all the rest of that, as usual, right? Like, look at me. I can see things two ways. And I think it's very critical to look at things with a critical eye when we sort of are dealing with our own human bias. Hirsch has got his hand up. We'll go to him in a sec. Hang tight, my friend. Anything else on that, James? And we'll go to Hirsch.
I think the timing is an odd thing because people will have, again, experiences. There's this one account I found, and I shared in my show a while ago, I believe, where this family kept on waking up at a weird time. It wasn't 3:33 like you would think. It was like 3:15 or something like that. And they wouldn't have experiences at that time, but they also had all kinds of other odd things happening in their house at different times. So, but the waking up and then the noticing the time is a fascinating thing, and I do wonder how that works.
Indeed. Okay, straight from the write-up. The autumn equinox triggers seasonal neurochemical shifts and circadian disruption, which is what I'm talking about tonight. Day and night are in perfect balance September 21st when the scale tips. From here forward, darkness wins, as I said. Every day brings more night than day until the winter solstice. Less daylight means less serotonin production, more melatonin, altered cortisol rhythms, mood drops, energy declines, the body prepares for dormancy. Eclipse season often overlaps with equinox, intensifying the sense of accelerated change and destabilization. People report heightened emotional sensitivity, introspection, and existential awareness during this period. This is ego death on a seasonal scale. The dissolution of the myth that you dictate terms. Nature dictates. The sun's arc across the sky dictates. The tilt of Earth's axis dictates. Your melatonin production, cortisol rhythms, serotonin availability, all governed by forces beyond conscious control. And that's really the basis for tonight. It's deep and it goes, I'll get into more of this, and we'll get into soul cakes as well, because I think it's an important aspect of this, because it's where, well, it's in the title, Soul Cake Surprise. We'll get there. So hang tight. Don't be so quick to want a soul cake. Love to hear your thoughts, though. We do this to take your calls at 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. It's as easy as that. Appreciate you popping in here. Let's go to Herschel in Arizona. What's up, my man? Herschel Sterling. You're on Troubled Minds. How are you, sir? And go right ahead.
I'm doing okay. This is a good, synchronicity with James's comments. During that last full moon, like the write-up talks about how, melatonin is depleted when the really bright moon is out. And that explains what happened. Like, I usually go to bed between 9:30 and 10, and I wake up at between 4 and 4:30, and it's like a clock. Like, I don't wake up once I fall asleep. I'm asleep until I wake up, pretty much every day. But during that full moon stretch that we had, those 3 or 4 like really bright nights, I kept waking up at 1:15, and I couldn't figure out why. I didn't put it together with the moon. I didn't until I read the write-up, and I kept waking up, and I couldn't figure out why. And that was really interesting. But then, and I also had a couple of those nights, I had really vivid and very positive dreams, like really kind of affirming dreams that were people being encouraging and friendly and like supportive and stuff like that. And me also like getting things off my chest with people from my past, like telling them things I needed to tell them. Like, it was really positive for me. But on two of those nights, I'd wake up at 1:15 and I'd look at my phone to see what time it was, and I'm like, why am I waking up? I never wake up. Like, this is a bummer. I was bummed out. I'm laying there. But then I would hear noises. I heard it one night. Now, first of all, in this house where I live, I take care of a house. I'm a caretaker. I take care of several properties, and I live in one of the properties that I take care of. I woke up, and in this house, I do hear noises from time to time, usually in the morning, sometime between 10 and 10:30. Sometimes. It's only happened a few times, but I hear footsteps upstairs in the house. And there's nobody there. And it's footsteps. It's not the house settling. There's a difference. I know the difference between like noisy footsteps, like somebody's carrying a bunch of items and they're hustling across the floor. And I go upstairs and there's nobody there. Like that happens here. That's happened here a few times. But it happened just recently, twice in like 4 days. And then the one night that I woke up, at 1:15, I'm just laying there and I hear a noise on the floor 10 feet, not 10 feet from my bed. It sounded like a horse hoof or just like a cane or a piece of wood just like knocking really loud on the floor. And I'll turn the light on. There's obviously nobody there. And then there's a door in this room that goes to a back area, like a utility area. And I heard that same noise in there, muffled by the door, and then it echoed off it echoed more, like it was like more spacious sounding. I'd never, ever heard that noise before. And then the next night I woke up again at 1:15, and I'm just laying there, and I heard like more noises, like somebody was doing something in the utility room, like somebody was working on the workbench or something. Obviously there's like nobody there. I wake up, I get up, I turn the light on, there's nobody there. So like that happened, and that write-up really made me, it kind of explained some of that activity. But I'm going to be talking to the owners this week, and I'm going to find out, I'm going to ask cautiously if they've ever had these experiences here. Yeah, because maybe I'm not the first person to hear this.
Yeah, but don't be so weird you get fired. They don't want a super weirdo in there. So yeah, cautiously is a good way to put that.
Exactly. No, I will be tactful about it. In fact, what I'll do is I'll bring up a story I read, or I'll just make something up where it's like, I wonder about haunted houses. It's Halloween time. I wonder about haunted houses. I wonder about noises. And I'll tell them stories about other places that I've lived where I've heard noises, and maybe they'll bring it up themselves. I'll try to weasel an answer out of them without being direct, and I can probably do that.
Yeah, watch it. It turns into a full-blown, this has been haunted for at least 100 years. We've got stories going back. It wouldn't surprise me a single bit, because again, back to what James said a couple nights ago too, human resonant energy. Like there's an important aspect to this that not just, let's say, the energy itself, but the telling and retelling of these stories. I think this is as powerful as anything that we deal with in terms of, hauntings and things like this. Fire stuff. What else you got?
Oh, I don't know if I have much else than that. I wanted to kind of affirm what the write-up was about, because I think that explained why I was waking up. Like I was melatonin, 70% decrease in melatonin when the moon is bright. I had no idea, and that's probably why I woke up.
Yeah, and remember, fascinatingly, I think we did a show on this a week ago, 10 days ago, something, where it was sort of the Halloween moon during the first week, a couple days of October, and it was strange because whether you're in the moonlight or not, even if you're in a completely dark space, it still affects you, which is again a very weird thing, because it totally shouldn't. They say the blue light stuff and the blue blockers and the turn your devices off and the rest of that stuff like that clearly would affect you. But beyond that, sort of in a darkened space where you don't get moonlight whatsoever, yet still this stuff affects us. Pretty wild.
Yeah, it is. Well, I get moonlight in this room, and I like it. but it's never done that. Usually I fall asleep and that's it. I'm done for the day. Like I'm out until I wake up. But my really good time is that right when I wake up between 4 and 5, like that few hours, 3 hours before the sun comes up. That's my night time. Like that's what you talk about, your really creative time. That's my really creative time. That's what I do. I do not have a story tonight, but we'll see how the next Halloween stories come along. I do have a really scary story that I wrote, but we'll see what the subject matter of the upcoming shows are. And if it fits in, I'll read it. But it is scary. A forewarning, it is not, it's different than other stories I've written, but I'm not afraid to read it.
I'm not afraid to hear it.
We'll just see. We'll see what the subject matter is like, and then I'll decide whether I should read it or not.
Okay, we can set one up. You want to do scary stories to tell in the dark?
Let's let the synchronicity happen if it's going to happen. Let's do that. I like that better.
Okay, that's better too. That clicks and plays with these conversations as well. Absolutely, right on.
Yeah, it probably will.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if it does. Okay, so no hints. We'll do a double blind here, and then watch me draw it out of the ether, because I have my ways of drawing things out of the ether synchronistically.
You do.
From time to time. Anything for James or anything for Herschel while we got him on here, James?
Oh, just that's amazing that that you had those experiences, Herschel. I've had experiences in an apartment where I will hear random knocks and bumps, and this is not a wood constructed building, and it's just, and sometimes I can trace them from outside. Other times they're inside, and they're from right nearby, and I have no idea why they happen. So I'm really curious. Sorry?
This is a stone floor that's mostly solid, and it was a wooden sound. It was not the house settling.
Right.
I mean, it was something just like, it sounded like a horse hoof or a big sturdy piece of wood, like some kind of a staff or something, sounding like just echoed. And in the back room, when it hit in the back room, it made the same noise but muffled by the door, but it also, like, it had more of an echoey it kind of echoed off into the distance when it hit. It was very real, and I'm like, what is up? Like, what's up with that noise? Like, that, there's nothing here to make that noise. Like, there's nothing that would create that resonance, like, here. It doesn't, it's not here, like, but it was here, like.
Yeah,
and that stuff doesn't scare me. I'm not scared. I'm not afraid of the unseen realms. I feel protected and safe, and so it's just more of a mysterious thing, you know.
Yeah, and you're not the only person I've ever heard having a similar experience where the floor in their space is stone, or it's like a linoleum, but they'll hear a sound of something hitting a different kind of surface. Some people even, in certain cases, will have carpeted floors and still hear footsteps as if they had a wooden floor. So it really is wild. So thank you for sharing that.
Oh, of course. Well, good night, everybody, and great. Let's have some good calls, and
You're the best.
And the solar flares are having an effect. That was also part of the write-up, good write-up today. And and whether you're exposed to the light or not, it still affects you. And we got these solar flares are going to be hitting soon. So
they're on the way.
We might have some stories to tell next week.
Strap in. It's about to get weird. You're the best, brother. Appreciate the phone call, and we'll talk to you soon. Have a great night.
Good night, everybody.
Take care. You know him, you love him. That's a Commercial Herschel. That's the name of his Substack. Please give him a follow on all the places. Easytopian is the name of the podcast. Very smart guy, very creative guy, and a very brilliant writer. Please go check out his stuff, troubledminds.org/friends. Scroll down a little bit. It's alphabetical. Go down to H, follow Herschel, click that. You will get the sexiest link tree in the known universe. So please check that out, known multiverse. And this is how you make a link tree. And this is, by the way, if you guys want to be on the Troubled Minds friends list, you should be. All you have to do is help us. But this is the best way to do it, because then you can, again, change projects. You can move things in and out, do whatever you want to do with it. And then I don't have to change anything for you. So your link stays static on the Troubled Minds website. And then you get to have your shop here, your books, whatever you're selling, whatever you're working on, what projects are happening, and let people know. So do make a link tree, or allmylinks.com also works too, if you prefer that better. But do check it out. Go follow Herschel in all the places. troubledminds.org/friends. Click on Herschel. Very simple. And also just search it yourself, Easytopian or Commercial Herschel. You'll find his Substack and his podcast as well. He's here on the radio network with us. Appreciate the call. Great stuff. Way to get us kicked off. And well, we're talking about, again, the weird change in what's happening here. And so I'm on to something. I think I'm on to something. And this may or may not be novel. I don't I don't really care in those terms. I'm not trying to breaking news. I don't really care about that. But sometimes there are ideas that kind of flow through and get forgotten. And so it doesn't necessarily have to be novel, but let's say a forgotten idea delved from the past. And suddenly when you start to look at a lot of the information that's in the write-up tonight, again, Troubled Minds newsletter, check that out. It's fascinating to consider that our mind is some sort of neurochemical alchemy. And in this particular mind space of the changing weather and the changing time, it has little to do with something metaphysical, and it has everything to do with us in a chemical aspect. I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. As usual, you tell me. I'm not the arbiter of truth. It's too easy to just say, well, this or that's the truth. What are possibilities? Love to hear your thoughts. 702-957-1037. You can click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. It's as easy as that. My button didn't work. Let's try it again. Damn it. All right. Love to hear what you think. Beyond the Witching Hour, Soul Cake Surprise. We'll get into what soul cakes are when we get back, because this is important here. Because, of course, eating season has arrived. Be right back. More with James. More of your calls as well. See you on the other side of the break. Oh, yeah, I didn't have time to do news, so that's what I cut out of the loop tonight. So let's play an AI song instead here. Let's play, we haven't played this in a while. Let's play this one. This is one of my favorites, actually, of the AI tunes. Let's find it. Let's play it. Oh, yeah, top of the hour. We got an extra minute. Yeah, let's play this. Right here. This one's for Sweets. Shout out, Sweets.
Crazy colors swirling, got the laughter in the air. Jesters in the night, they weave magic everywhere. Clowns are juggling dreams, wild world is in despair. Nothing's quite as certain when reality's a game. Chaos in the corner, whispers calling out your name. Look around, it's laughter, even when we're feeling pain. You know what you want me, there'd be nights like this. Nobody warned me, there'd be nights like this. Nobody warned me, there'd be nights like this. Strange nights I insist, strange nights I insist. Dancing shadows flicker under neon all aglow, while the stage is set for tales that nobody will know. Echoes of the laughter as the lost ones steal the show. Life's a playful circus where the chaos takes a bow. Joy and sorrow blending in the rhythm that we vow. Join the ride of madness, it's the only way for love. Nobody warned me, there'd be nights like this. Nobody warned me, there'd be nights like this. Nobody warned me, there'd be nights like this. Strange nights I insist, strange nights I insist. Twists and turns and shadows, laughter in the night, a tapestry of madness, dancing with the light. Fools and fun were woven, chaos in our stride. Embrace the wild, let the laughter be our guide. Nobody warned me there'd be nights like this. Nobody warned me there'd be nights like this. Nobody warned me there'd be nights like this. Strange nights, I insist. Strange nights, I insist. Falling in the rhythms, beats that pound and thrum. A flashing carnival where the misfits come undone. Whirling through the madness with our hearts set to ignite. In the symphony of chaos will remain the shining light. Yeah, nobody warned me there'd be nights like this. Nobody warned me there'd be nights like this. Nobody warned me there'd be nights like this. Strange nights, I insist. Strange nights, I insist.
Hell yeah. What's up, guys? Hope everybody's well tonight. I trimmed out some of the AI music because I got some complaints. People were kind of like, you stop doing that, Mike. Okay, all right. Anyway, that's an oldie but a goodie. I hope you guys are well tonight, just hanging out, doing what we do. What's up? Ricky's here. I see there. Gaston, Matzel, hand is up. We'll go to Matzel and more from James when we get back. What's up, Dragon Rose? How you doing, Linda? Roving Fungus, Pete. We got Daryl, Apoc Sweets, Molly. Thank you for the call. Molly, let me know if you want me to add your SoundCloud to the friends list. I will. I didn't know you had one. Sweets delved it out. Thank you, Sweets, for that. Sweets is a wizard. What's up, Hirsch? Thanks for the call. Fire stuff as always. You were the best. What's up, Dawn? And what's up, Jacob? You guys are all the best. Thanks again for hanging out late with us and being part of this. Margie Gordo's over there. YY. Puff has arrived. The party can now begin. What's going on? Terry is here as well over on Rumble. I missed anybody? Ioxy, I know I missed you. Who did I miss? Stephen England, how you doing? Good show. Thank you. Appreciate that. Ioxy's here. Who did I miss? Mr. Mission Control, good evening. What's going on? Who else? Glocks and Grippers, love the name. How you doing? Pew Pew. Yes, indeed. Hello. My mom. All the Discord chat. I don't know. Do you think it's time to maybe shut down BoobTube? EdTube? What's up, Treeland T is here. I see you guys. What's up, Michelle? Yeah, I don't know. These are ideas I kick around all the time. It's probably bad to think about. Anyway, here we go. Troubled Minds happening right now. More from James. We got Matt Sal coming up and your calls as well. Here we go. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting at 88.4 FM, Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight, we're taking your calls as I'm calling this Beyond the Witching Hour. Soul Cake Surprise. We'll get to what that means in a second here, but the question is this. Could October really be a time when reality's usual boundaries slip, leaving us exposed to strange moods, unfiltered perceptions, and ancient instincts? Now, I'm kind of looking at this in the inversionism way, and I like that term. I know it's not a word, but I'm using it because there's a guy on X called I think his handle is inversionism. I'll find it anyway. But he posts some stuff like we talk about. You know, he's kind of a one of our type of weirdos, and I mean that in a nice way. And so I use that term. But what I'm talking about is the inversion of the esoteric idea, and looking at this in the modern sense, meaning that as the veil thins and we march inexorably on toward All Hallows Eve, as I like to say. However, what if it's more sort of neurochemical? What if it's like alchemy? What if these things are science and not sort of ritual ancient stuff? Or, of course, is this a space where all of those things come together? I don't know. As usual, look, and I think nobody knows at this point. You could probably make some compelling narrative cases where maybe, you could kind of fill in the blanks and, do with this or do with that. But I think that it's yet to be determined. So what do you know about it? Love to hear your thoughts. Are we sort of in the space of not the veil thinning, but sort of our mind being mixed with these weird chemical components that we're not used to because of the way the weather tips and turns, and the light and all the moons and the geomagnetic field stuff. And again, maybe, just maybe, All Hallows Eve isn't about the veil at all. Maybe it's more Carl Jung than it is Carl Sagan. And I love that term. I love to talk about things in that way. Love to hear your thoughts. 702-957-1037. Hang tight 1 second, Matt Sal. We'll get to you in a moment. James, anything to add? And we'll go to Matt Sal.
Just a great call from Herschel. And I do think that, I think there can be many veils. And one of them, I think, is in mind. And if thoughts are somehow generated by biology or at least associated with it, then why couldn't there be veils in our own brains? Not just with ideas, but just with picking up on other energies. And some people are better at it than others. And some places, sometimes you go places and it doesn't matter how good you are. There's just things that happen. So, and again, is that connected to our biology in some way that we don't know yet?
I would think so. And that's exactly the point of talking about these ideas together, because I'm pointing out maybe some things we missed or didn't miss or whatever. Like I said, I've added the moon to my, the phase of the moon to my watch, because it like, I wonder about things, like, and I'll tell you what, the drivers out there are crazier than ever. And in the write-up, it kind of cites that October is one of the highest months in the year for car accidents. And like, I saw like people screaming on the road today, like screaming at like a stoplight, and just some of the most wild stuff you've ever seen. It's an interesting life being on the road. Anyway, what do you think about all of this? And again, your favorite part of Halloween, your favorite part of this whole idea of Samhain and the veil thinning and the weather changing, and is it more Carl Sagan or more Carl Jung? 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show just like this. Let's go to Matthew in California. Matt, what's up, brother? How are you tonight? Welcome to the joint. Go right ahead.
Hey, guys. Good show.
Thank you very much. Loud and clear coming through. What's on your mind? What do you got for us tonight? Lots of ways to take this, as usual.
Yeah, I was just thinking about how, like, at this time of the year, when you go out and you look around and you see, the earth is slowing down, and the trees are, fading away and dying. Things need to be a harvest season to harvest all the crops before they die. And you think of it as like, life or death, or like a slow part of we call it the dark time of the year. And people always call it like Halloween or Samhain is like, they call it the witch's new year. Well, we don't mean it like New Year, but we mean the new year of the dark half of the year. And so we look at it like that. You can see the yin and yang and the opposites. We don't see death as sad. We honor it, so we remember the ancestors and things like that. But if you think in 6 months from now, and they talk about how the veil is thin on Halloween. And it's funny to me, I thought about this. How come, like, here in the West, we celebrate All Hallows Eve, the night of Halloween, whereas other cultures and other places in the world, they celebrate the Day of the Dead on November 1st. And just looking at other cultures and how they perceive it and how they do it. But if you look at what we have on October 31st, if you fast forward 6 months, you'll have May 1st, which is another big festival that we celebrate called Beltane. And that's, for spring. It's the exact opposite. It's without death, there cannot be life. Without life, there cannot be death. Are you following me?
Yeah, 100%. And so, again, the great wheel, all the stuff we're always talking about. But it's incredibly important because if right now in this moment we're talking about sort of the neurochemical changes in our brain as part of coming in past the autumn equinox into Samhain in this season, then certainly something similar happens on the other yin and yang aspect, on the opposite space of this, as you're describing very smartly here. And so, as usual, where this comes in for me and the things I talk about and think about are these hidden control mechanisms, the things that we sort of take for granted as cyclical changes that we're like, oh, they don't affect us that much. How could they? However, I do wonder, like, how deep does this go and how weird does it get? And I think statistically, as we get more and more data on different things, different aspects, again, car accidents and all kinds of weird stuff, as this starts to really kind of bake into the big data aspect, I think we're going to be surprised that we're more controlled by this great wheel than we ever dreamed. And that yin and yang aspect is a huge part.
Yeah, I feel it is something that affects us year by year. And thinking about the polarity and thinking about the yin and yang, I was thinking about this. It's a little off, but it fits here. Is in healing, they have a thing called meridians, the meridian lines. And anyone interested in healing, if you look that up, it's pretty interesting. The meridian lines are these energy lines through our body, and they're connected to each organ. And by stimulating these lines, you can help heal. You've probably seen this stuff like at the mall, where you see like reflexology, like the map of your feet and all that. But those meridian lines go through your whole body, and they also have a yin and a yang, a starting point and an ending point. And each of these lines through our body as he heals. And so I kind of see that as like maybe these points are like the meridian lines for the Earth. That's a little out there, but looking into that, I can see how it's affecting us.
Yeah, I don't think it's out there at all. It's a acupuncture. It's what's the thing called Reiki, right? I mean, this is the type of stuff that they've been talking about forever. And again, we mirror our environment, and so you are what you eat. This type of stuff. So I don't think it's out there at all. I think you're spot on with really what we're looking at, and maybe why this affects us more than we ever dreamed.
Yeah, I think if you're interested in that, look up meridian lines. And it's all about healing and moving through the body. Is there anyone behind me?
No, we got plenty of time. Whatever you got, go ahead.
I think I'm done. I think this is a good show. There's a lot here. But just talking about Halloween and Samhain and how I think the way that they celebrated, passing it down, understanding why they did the things they did. Why did they celebrate, do it this way? Like, why did they make pumpkins? They had to have light in their little jack-o'-lantern, and their little, they made a little candle, so they carved it out of a pumpkin. Things like this. Why do we trick or treat? As that stuff's in the write-up as well. Yeah,
I got a little blurb. Let me read that actually, and let me get your comment on that. Hang tight 1 second. So this is the next part where it gets into this, where exactly this stuff starts to happen, cultural rituals. And these encode practices that manipulate consciousness toward these liminal states, right? So we're not just feeling the neurochemical aspect of it, we're kind of feeding it with these rituals. The original jack-o'-lanterns weren't pumpkins. They were turnips carved with grotesque faces and lit with embers from sacred Samhain fires, as Matt was saying. The purpose, ward off evil spirits during the night when the veil thinned. These weren't decorations, they were protective devices placed at thresholds, doorsteps, windows, boundaries. The carved face was meant to terrify, to scare away wandering entities. The jack-o'-lantern's light represents consciousness, a small flame preventing total darkness, but not dispelling it completely. It holds the liminal space. And exactly like you were saying there. And it's interesting when you kind of dig into some of this stuff. And we've talked about the history of Halloween in the past. We're kind of past the rookie 101 stuff when it comes to, well, what is Halloween, right? We don't do that anymore because we're been doing this for years for fear of repeating ourselves too many times. And this gets into soul cakes as well. You got anything on that this light of consciousness, putting these things out, the turnips that turn into the jack-o'-lanterns, and then the soul cakes? And any take on that? If you don't, that's cool, because I'm gonna get into that in just a minute here.
On the soul cakes, I kind of seen as like an offering. At the end of rituals, sometimes we'll do a thing. We call it cakes and ale. It's where some people will like bake some breads or some cakes. Most of the time, I use like bowls of fruit. But we'll have a little thing where we'll pass around, your bread. like kind of like the body of the blood of Christ. You know, and you can say something to your ancestors or to your gods, and take a bite of the food, and then crumble it up onto the ground, and then you take a drink of your wine or sip or your whatever. Doesn't have to be wine, whatever you're drinking, and then you pour it out, and you know it kind of reminds me of like Four of the Homies. You pour it out on the ground. It's honoring. It's a way of like honoring those who have passed before us. And I think that that's really what this dark time is all about. I think it's about honoring and remembering the people that passed before us, and not so much about death itself. Knowing that, you know, it's a part of life, and that's what we have to like respect and honor it instead of be afraid of it.
Yeah, 100%.
Thanks, my good.
I have a great call. You were the best. Appreciate you very much. I was about to say same thing. That pour some out for your homies. It's like a ritual remembrance, and you beat me to the punch there. But our minds are in the same place per usual. You were the best. Appreciate the call. Tell Lacey we said hi. Always a pleasure, my man. Thanks for staying up late with us, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Mike. Good night.
Have a great night. You know him, you love him. That's Matt's Owl in California, Matthew in California. Temple of the Owl is the name of his podcast. And the great thing about what he's doing over there, and again, this is the beauty of all of these things, how all these spaces come together, all these different creative people look at things a little bit differently. He's got a massive esoteric book collection that he's going through. He's reading these things, and then he's sort of synthesizing these ideas for the modern age, for 2025, for 2024, 2023, as long as he's been doing it, and kind of cooking this into his podcasts. And that's, again, one of the most valuable resources, like James does too, is that we need to start looking at the print, because the internet is dying. They're going to kill the internet as quick as possible, because, well, it's how we talk to each other, right? And as usual, they don't want us talking to each other at all. And that becomes the problem when we deal with authoritarianism and all the rest of this stuff. But if you're synthesizing old ideas from esoteric books and putting them into a podcast, what better way than to go check out templeoftheowl.com. Follow Matt's Owl over there, or troubleminds.org/friends. Scroll down just a little bit, and it's alphabetical. It says follow Matt's Owl. It's alphabetical, like I said, and you'll find his podcast, templeoftheowl.com. Please check that out. It's very good. Every time I listen to it, it is fantastic, and he's on point. And this is why we do this, to collaborate and meet other people and consider other ideas. James, anything else? I'm going to get to Soul Cakes right now so we can put that one to bed and know what we're talking about tonight. But anything to add to what Matt Sal said? And I'll get to Soul Cakes in just a second here.
Yeah, I totally agree. Great call from Matt Sal. Excuse me. I totally agree that it is more about the honoring of those that have passed than anything else overall. At least I feel like it should be. And of course, as usual, as time has gone on, there's been more and more sort of commercialism, capitalism, just monetizing everything. And in the process of that, like you see with so much paranormal, it's all about, as far as the companies are concerned, it's all about everything should be frightening. All things paranormal, all things unusual, unexplained, unexpected should be frightening, should be evil, should be terrifying. And that's a big part of what I have a problem with when it comes to all that, is that because it should be more about remembering our past and learning from it and learning from those that have gone before us.
Yeah, well said. Well said. And it is easy to get away from sort of the spirit of the season, right? And the spirit of the season is nature. It is humanity. It is these great cycles we find ourselves in and trying to make order out of chaos. That's what it's all about. And so, well said, all that. Fantastic stuff. Love to hear you guys' thoughts. If you have any takes on this, what do you know about the larger conversation? What do you love about Halloween? I do like to hear those takes as well. What makes this a season that's interesting to you and compelling to you? I think there's a lot here. Okay, so back to the write-up. Now, so in the title, as I was clicking there, sorry about that. Nervous clicking my thing. So Beyond the Witching Hour, I'm calling this Soul Cake Surprise. Now, what is the Soul Cake? Thank you, Matt Sal, for adding the context there on how you guys do the Soul Cake, and that's cool. I love that. This came from the write-up again from a Perplexity deep dive. I've got the receipts on this, so if you want to follow up on me, I will drop this in the after show chat, which is another good reason why you should join the Discord if you have not, because a lot of the information that I delve out for these things, I do put in the Discord afterward, and you get a lot of additional information. But anyway, and it's free, by the way, Discord, free, chat client, voice client, completely free. Anyway, so soul cakes, straight from the write-up here. That's where trick-or-treating actually starts. During Samhain, and later, All Souls Day or All Saints Day, people left food offerings on doorsteps to ward off malevolent spirits. Children and the poor would go door to door, singing and praying for the dead in exchange for soul cakes. The soulers often wore disguises, long black cloaks, masks, costumes mimicking spirits and witches. The logic: by dressing as the dead, you become invisible to them, or you become their representative, collecting offerings on their behalf. Either way, the costume creates boundary dissolution. You're no longer fully yourself, no longer fully other. You're a threshold. Modern Halloween preserves this, but sanitizes it, as James was saying, the commercialism stuff. Kids dress as monsters, but it's play. The underlying structure remains. You disguise yourself as something other. You go to thresholds. You demand offerings. And if you don't receive them, consequences follow. And in the old days, consequences was, Gen X, we just TP your house or whatever, right? I mean, it might have happened that night, but, you give us a few days, maybe a week, 10 days, and your house is going to get TP'd, right? I mean, that's the old way. Back when I was a kid, we walked up to school in the snow, uphill both ways, whatever. Anyway, you get the meaning here. There were consequences. It was that trick or treat aspect. It was harmless, fun. Okay. However, speaking of which, as an aside, did you guys see that there's this happened recently to some guy that's like an older guy, older than me. I say older just meaning older than me. I think he's like 60, 65, something like that. And it was going viral on social media. And he's like, his house got TP'd. And like for those youngsters that don't know what the hell I'm talking about, you take rolls of toilet paper and you run them around their trees in their front, and you make a mess, right? You make a mess. And if you have water, you put the water on it, so it makes it worse, right? Or whatever. So it's a pain in the butt to get out. It looks terrible. And you've been a target of the neighborhood miscreants or whatever, right? However, the funny part and why this went viral is because he was celebrating this. This old guy, I say again affectionately, just older than myself. I'm an old guy too. He was like, I'll see if I can dig this up, but it was hilarious. I watched this a few days ago, but he was celebrating it because he was like, finally, right? Like finally, like kids aren't scrolling TikTok. They're out in the world making mischief as they should be. He was talking about Gen X and stuff and the way we used to do things. And by the way, he's right. He is right. Anything on that, James? You got to know anything about TPing or the Gen X story there? And I'll get more into the soul cakes here in a sec.
No, but I've heard of that before, and I've never actually seen it happen, but I've seen videos of it. As far as the results, which is just I can't imagine having to clean that up. And I haven't seen that video, but I do agree with him. It's yeah, people should be out there more, not necessarily doing that, but out there more and interacting with everyone more. So I definitely agree there.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a funny thing. Like it's unexpected. You expect somebody to be like, damn it, look what happened. This is terrible. Get off my lawn. And he was celebrating. He was like, yes, we're back. We're so back, which is funny. Okay. So now we're moving beyond the witching hour and soul cake surprise. We dropped the soul cakes. Now here's the larger context. As usual, there's a lot of ways to look at these ideas and read the write-up in full if you're interested. It's very good tonight. Again, a little data dense, and I will have those receipts afterwards. So if you want to follow up on me, I encourage you to. And I also, I don't think I dropped a disclaimer when we started tonight. All the disclaimers do apply. There's no truth to be found here, just ideas. We're just talking possibilities and looking at the world in a slightly different way. That's it. It's as simple as that. So anyway, back to this. Another question as we get deeper in. So what childhood Halloween rituals did you believe protected you? And have you carried those beliefs into adulthood as part of this? Because, of course, we're talking jack-o'-lanterns, the Samhain fires of old, and the origins of these soul cakes and trick-or-treating. Now, is it something where these practices are some level of like a psychic safeguard, or ways to acknowledge this, again, thinning boundary between worlds? And for me, in my mind, like I keep describing, I think it's more Carl Jung than Carl Sagan. Not to put down the great wheel and the cosmology of everything, but to recognize that there's a neurochemical reaction we have to our environment in ways as yet unmeasured. That's my point. And I think it's important to recognize it. And if we don't, then we're sort of slave to the whims of whoever would recognize it for us, or whoever would recognize what was happening as part of it and use it to manipulate us. And I think the case can be made, as James said, for, you know, turning Halloween into, and as Matsell said very smartly as well, turning Halloween into, instead of remembering ancestral spirits and those that have passed on, turning it into a 12-foot tall Home Depot plastic skeleton that sits on your front yard. You know what I mean? Yeah. Anyway, I don't know. It's a crazy thing to consider. A lot of ideas flowing through here. I'd love to hear your thoughts. What do you love about Halloween? What is going on? Have you ever heard of a soul cake? What about the turnips and the placing things out front to keep the spirits at bay? What about dressing as the spirits in sort of that liminal space to become them so they don't recognize you? What about the mask ritual itself? We did a whole show on that in the past. It was also very good. But it is that disillusion of identity. And identity, of course, is something that I consider a lot. Because through my life, and I'll be honest as I am, it's to my detriment. My honesty is to my detriment. I'll tell you that. If I was just a ridiculous liar, I would have an easier life. I'll save the story till when we get back. What do you know about this? What about the idea of Halloween not being part of the cosmological cycle? What about Halloween being entirely a neurochemical reaction of us reacting to said cycle? That's what's on my mind tonight. Love to hear your thoughts on this. If you want to be part of the conversation, 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Nobody on the line. If you guys want to jump in here, I'd appreciate it very much. The whole reason we do this is to talk to people. What do you know about it? I'm calling it Beyond the Witching Hour. Soul Cake Surprise. What comes next? Of course, if I knew, I'd tell you. But I don't. So we'll talk possibilities instead. Be right back. More Troubled Minds on the way. Do not go anywhere. Let's play some news. Give me a break here. And it's old news, but news nonetheless. Here we go.
Let's check the news. A G1 geomagnetic storm, predicted by NOAA's SWPC for October 12, 2025, is expected to make the northern lights visible across 12 U.S. states, including areas as far south as New York and Washington. The storm, caused by solar wind from a coronal hole interacting with Earth's magnetic field, will push the auroral oval further south than usual, offering a rare viewing opportunity. Optimal viewing locations are in dark areas away from urban light pollution. A new study suggests the moon's largest crater, the South Pole Aitken SPA basin, was formed by a glancing blow from an asteroid, not a head-on impact as previously believed. This finding could explain the asymmetry in crater distribution between the moon's near and far sides. The location where NASA's Artemis program plans to land could hold more clues about the moon's evolution and interior structure due to the impact's nature, potentially revealing more about the distribution of creep-rich material and the moon's magma ocean. Microbes trapped in Alaskan permafrost for 40,000 years have been revived, demonstrating their ability to decompose organic matter and release greenhouse gases. Research indicates that thawing permafrost, accelerated by climate change, will awaken these microbes, leading to increased methane and carbon dioxide emissions. A study simulating Alaskan summer conditions showed a delayed but eventual surge in microbial activity, suggesting that longer, warmer summers could trigger a dangerous feedback loop, exacerbating climate change. These findings are crucial for understanding the impact of thawing permafrost on Arctic warming. Thanks for listening to the Troubled Minds Radio Network.
Indeed. What's up, guys? Hope everybody's well tonight. Just hanging out, doing what we do. And I had fresh news. I got all the articles pulled out. I just didn't have time to put it all together. I'll have them ready for the next time. Thanks again for staying up late with us and considering the ideas. What's up, Matt Sal? Thanks for the call. Fire stuff as always. Gaston. What's up, Pete? APOC, Daryl, Dragon Rose, Sweet, Dawn, Herschel, Fire Call as well. Always a pleasure. We got Mephisto. That's Jacob, Molly. How you guys doing? And again, once again, Molly, we've got your Sweets has your thing. Let me know. Let me know if we can share that on the Troubled Minds website. I'd love to put that on there if you want to share that as well. What's going on? Puff is here. YY. Good evening, guys. What's up, Hiker? Yeah, I don't know. How Halloween do you guys like to get? Really becomes the question here. What's up, Gordo? Yeah. Raz's clock flashes 666 all day long. Yeah, maybe, right? Maybe. Maybe. Who did I miss? If I missed anybody, just let me know. Oh, over to YouTube, sorry. And we'll check the chat. Ioxy is here. Good evening. Good evening. Hello. What's up, Dawn? I see you there. James, what's up? So Ioxy says, I judge society by if your kids get to go trick-or-treating. Walk the streets alone taking candy from strangers. Are you up to the challenge? Yeah, right. Exactly. Have you seen the trunk or treats they're doing? Like, this started years ago. But, you know, the cops have like, they put the cop cars or whatever and kind of decorate each car as like a little Halloween theme and the candies in the trunk. And the kids come around in a parking lot and all the cops are there. Like it's a thing now, right? It's a thing because, you know, people are scared of the razor blades and the apples and that type of stuff, which, by the way, was also like a rumor of malicious activity back in, 1987. So well, it's not new. Anyway, here we go. Troubled Minds happening now. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting, and of course, 88.4 FM Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight, could October really be a time when reality's usual boundaries slip? As we've been told, the esoteric way, right? Leaving us exposed to strange moods, unfiltered perceptions, and ancient instincts. Is it possible that the darkening season, the restless nights, and our older rituals aren't just stories, but clues to a deeper truth about human consciousness? And me in particular, I feel like I'm onto something here. I feel like, look, I'm not going to get a GPT psychosis or anything, but I feel like when you get enough data and you put it together and you package it as an idea, suddenly things start to make a little bit better sense, different sense, okay? And of course, as usual, the armor of God, all the things. I'm not a GPT wizard or a techno mystic or any of the things. However, when things start to line up to build your own narratives, suddenly this is what they don't want. And who's they, Mike? Come on, Mike. That's vague. It's ambiguous. Well, they is just the people we cannot criticize. They are the mainstream media. They are the people that call us conspiracy theorists for talking about ideas outside of their paradigm. That's who they are. It's simple. And, like Fox News, CNN, all the stuff we always talk about. That's who they are. So it's a very specific definition. And it's a very curated reality. And so once you break out of that, at least conceptually, in a conversation, there's problems, right? Yeah. Anyway, tons of stuff here. Soul Cake Surprise, Beyond the Witching Hour. I'm making the case slowly but surely that this is more Carl Jung than Carl Sagan. Meaning, specifically, that as the veil thins is a neurochemical process that is a societal shamanic journey. I'll continue to make that case in a moment. Love to hear your thoughts instead. I'll drop all this to the cutting room floor to talk to you guys. That's why I'm here. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubleminds.org. Anything, James, to add? Welcome back. Hope you're doing well tonight. And I got some stuff to get to, as you know, but you got anything to add? Love to hear it.
Yeah, a couple things. And if I go too long, you can tell me to be quiet, and I will grumble and maybe be quiet, possibly.
Perfect.
But the offerings fascinates me. The idea of leaving offerings for spirits or for people representing spirits is fascinating, because there's other places, other situations where food and drink are left out, whether it's outside or even just in the home. And that is cases of the little folk, different kinds, whatever variations you want to talk about, where when things start happening, some people around the world have had ideas and thoughts and heard stories about other people doing this, where the best way to get this activity to stop in some cases was to leave things out, was to leave out milk or water or actual food or even alcoholic beverages. But that goes beyond that to just leaving, in the modern day, leaving a TV or a radio on in a room, in a place where you have all kinds of weird activity. And once you do that, the activity decreases a lot. And I've heard this in so many cases. And so I find that fascinating, the different ways to sort of make offerings throughout time to now, being effective in some ways for whatever reasons. Again, I don't know how this all works, but these accounts of these experiences are there. And then also, based on that, when people come in to an environment that are not aware of these situations, and they change something, they don't leave the TV or the radio on in a space, activity will pick up, even though they may not have any idea why things are being left on. So then what is going on there? And I think that's all I have for now. But yeah, that's just fascinating to me.
Yeah, the ritual offering bit is that's an ancient thing. I mean, that goes way, way, way back, right? You leave something out for the gods to make sure that whatever. I mean, you pour some out for your homies, like Matt's was saying there. You leave some as an offering so that you're given a boon. You're not no curses, right? No curses going on here, and that is one of the most ancient things ever. And dare I suggest, I don't want to say the word, but the original OG tax, was it the the god tax? Now I've done it. Now I've triggered my own sensibilities by bringing up taxes. But you get my meaning, right? And I think there's some wisdom there regarding. Well, I don't know. I guess usually it depends on what you believe, and that's okay. That's exactly the point. And to be perfectly honest, back to the honesty conversation, I'm not sure what I believe, and that's, to me, I think there's power there too. There's power in belief, absolutely, but I think there's power in flexibility and recognizing that. Well, I'm not so sure. Let's hear more about this and that and the other thing, and that's how I feel about it. And thanks for being cool and chill and staying up late with us, guys. Anything on that, James? And I'll get right back to the write-up here, because I think there's a compelling case to be made.
Yeah, I mean, again, we have so many names for what might be going on, and in the end, I don't think we can really know for sure what they all are until they all come out and say hi and sit out there and open. Ironic how that fits in so well with the whole alien conversation, where that's something that a lot of people want, is for this all to be decided by the appearance of whatever is out there, whoever's out there. But also, I want to remind you, I don't know if you wanted to or not, but you said you had a story. So at the end of the last segment there. So if you want to tell that, then I'd be curious to hear it. But if not, I understand. I
did actually, and I can't remember what it was, to be honest. Like as I was speaking it, the reason why I deferred it, I'm like, I forgot what that thread was. There was a thing I wanted to say, and it was about honesty, and it was a story, and I was like, I lost it. So I punted it, and then you exposed me. I don't remember. I don't remember. If it comes back, if it comes back to me, I'll definitely say it.
I'm shocked that this never happens to anyone. No one forgets what they're talking about. I mean, that never happens. That happens to me all the time. So no judgment here.
Exactly. In the moment with all the things and all the screens and all the lights and reading the chat, yeah, there's no reason for me to just lose my train of thought. If it comes back to me, I promise you I'll tell you. Like I said, to my detriment, I am honest, and we're welcome to it. Anyway, so back to this. Now, like I said, and in that honesty, let's continue with a narrative. And this is a narrative. It is one of those narratives that may or may not be true. There might be pieces of this, some nuggets that make sense. Shout out to our new friend who called on the other night. Milkor, I believe his name was, but nuggets are good, but a narrative is built by somebody else. Okay. Except for your life narrative. It's something you've lived. You get it? So this is the way the world is. Okay. Anyway, so back to this. So all the things we've talked about, sort of the neurochemical aspect of Samhain, the neurochemical aspect of the idea of the autumn equinox, and what it does to our mind space. All the stuff we said to this point, again, it's in the Troubled Minds newsletter. Check it out. I'm reading straight from that because it's important to kind of track down this narrative. Here we go. By the time October 31st arrives, multiple vectors have converged. External solar activity, moon phase, shortened daylight, and internal altered brain chemistry. Ritual participation, collective belief. The ancient Celts said the veil between worlds thins during Samhain, specifically October 31st through November 1st. They had no concept of electromagnetic fields, no satellites measuring solar wind, yet they pinpointed late October as the moment when reality's boundary becomes permeable. Modern science shows geomagnetic storms disrupt circadian rhythms, as we've been talking about tonight. They alter brain chemistry, trigger migraines, and amplify psychiatric symptoms. Think lycanthropy, howling at the moon. In this case, paranormal investigators use EMF meters specifically because electromagnetic fluctuations correlate with reported spiritual activity. During a Halloween investigation at a 125-year-old Iowa city house, EMF meters went off repeatedly in the attic. And I think this is from Zach Baggins, his brand new thing that just hit. Like he has a new series that just kicked off, and it's like a 2-hour special. I think this is what it's from. Red lights, constant beeping. The flashlight turned on and off in response to questions 15 times. Now, you know me, and James too, and I'll give James a moment here to also kind of chime in, but getting information from television shows as some sort of gospel truth doesn't sound like the best strategy to me, all right? Or from a podcast or a talk show or whatever. Like I said, take every damn thing I've ever said with a grain of salt. Though I'm a good faith, honest actor, okay? I tell you when I'm fabricating, I tell you when I'm pressing the envelope, I tell you when I'm moving into a space that is outside of my paradigm of expertise, which is basically everything. But you get the idea. Some people are less honest, and I'm not suggesting these folks are. I'm suggesting go get your information from TV. But I'm going to continue on this in just a second here, because this write-up is very good, and this narrative is very fantastic in my opinion. But what do I know? I'm just me. But James, anything on those paranormal TV shows? Because I think there's something to be said here. Something to be said here.
Yeah. Even in the cases where the investigators may be honest, talking about honesty, may be trying to really get to the bottom of things, you have to consider who is financing the whole thing. How much money is that network going to make off of any given TV show when it comes to paranormal things? And what will they do or have people do to keep that money coming in, including exaggerating or faking or adding things to video after the fact to make it appear that things are happening? And so And yeah, going back to real quick, also just the idea of knowing or not knowing. I always am trying to say this a lot, which is that all I know for sure is I've had weird things happen to me, and so have other people. As to what it all is, I don't know. All I can do is point out patterns and here and there when I find them. But that doesn't mean I know that those are for sure the way things are. And sometimes I find opposite patterns. So, yeah, definitely don't ever take anything I say as like I know exactly what's going on, or I have all the answers for sure.
And that's how you spot the charlatans of the world. They call them grifters because they always know the answer. Even though when reality proves them wrong, they still press on knowing the answer, even though they didn't know the answer previously that exposed them, but everybody forgets because they're always waiting for the next answer, right? Anyway, so back to this. Now, and like I said, no beef or whatever against Zach Baggins and the stuff. Like I said, I work down by where he has his thing. Oh, and by the way, I saw this today. So I was driving by the Zach as a nice segue here, as a nice sort of side quest real quick. I was driving by the Zach Baggins Haunted Museum, and it's right now it's the most horrific. And this is why I'm kind of like, maybe you don't sense it because I've calmed down, but when I got home, I was like super agitated, just super like, because the traffic downtown is just ridiculous because they've got lanes blocked off and cones everywhere, and they're doing down by the Sphere and Howard Hughes, that area, they're doing F1 that's going to happen. So they spend like 10 weeks destroying Las Vegas traffic, setting up an entire racetrack for F1 that happens for one freaking night. They do like a preliminary the previous night. They do an hour-long race, and then after they leave, then they spend another couple weeks breaking it down. So we're literally like in this just traffic disaster. And as you guys know, I'm on the road a lot. And anyway, I'm driving by the Zach Baggins Haunted Museum, and I'm stuck in traffic. Stopped, literally just stopped. Like, ugh. I look over, I see it. I'm like, hey, I haven't been there. I should go there. But then I look over further to my left, and on the direct right side or left side looking at it, what's right next to the Zach Baggins Haunted Museum is but what would you guess? Think about what's next to it. I told you, James. Care to guess or let the cat out of the bag?
I'd say some kind of group, a select kind of a group meeting location where they, have certain rituals and practices and all those kinds of things. Maybe.
Yeah. What's it? It's not a temple. It's a lodge. It's a lodge of a Masonic lodge. Masonic lodge. That's it. I couldn't remember the term. There's literally right next to the Zach Baggins Haunted Museum where all of those artifacts are. That Matt very smartly said last week when we talked about this. Who inherits those or buys those after like Zach passes on? And I said Peter Thiel because he'll still be alive. But anyway, right next to it's a Masonic lodge. I mean, like how tinfoil hat do you want to get? But out there in the ghetto, because it's kind of in the ghetto, it's on Charleston Boulevard, and over on the left side, right next to it's Masonic lodge. Anyway, I don't know. Does that seem weird to you? It seemed a little weird to me that it wasn't like a McDonald's or something. I don't know. You got to take on that, James, and I'll get right back to this.
It goes back to the idea of power spots, of possible ley lines. Fun connection there possibly to the idea of that Mattau was talking about meridians and healing on a body. This idea that there are also similar lines possibly that go throughout the planet. So I wonder if, there's this idea that a lot of these places, whether it's any kind of religious organization or lodges of groups, they will build these power spots. So I don't know. That's fascinating. That's right there by this other location, which I'm curious now. Again, is that a power spot? And are people aware of it when they make these haunted museum kinds of locations. I'm really curious about that.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's an aside. That's a side quest as part of this. But I noticed it today. I sent it to James and Derek. We were chatting a little bit as I was stuck in traffic. By the way, yeah, it is horrific being on the road when they're doing construction like that. But anyway, okay. So side quest. I digress. Back to the thing. But do look it up. Look up. It's on East Charleston, Zach Baggins Haunted Museum, and right next to it is a Masonic Lodge. I couldn't remember the name. I wanted to say Masonic Temple. Something temple, and it just wouldn't come to my mind. Anyway, okay, so back to the write-up. Now, in this case, as we're talking about sort of the idea of not just ghost hunting as described, EMF and this type of thing, it's also we're being blasted from the sun with the EMF all the time. I mean, it's all around us. It's the radio waves. It's everything, right? It's the Wi-Fi's and the 5Gs and all this stuff. Like, I'm not a tinfoil hat 5G guy that wants to say that 5G is all the devil or whatever. But also I recognize it's probably not good for us either. So I don't know, like I'm as usual, somewhere in between. But anyway, in this case, the veil doesn't thin. Consciousness shifts. The boundary between waking and dreaming, self and other, living and dead, these aren't fixed structures. They're maintained by neurochemical balance, circadian stability, and consensus agreement. Consensus reality, one of my favorite topics. Anyway, disrupt those foundations and the boundary dissolves. Scientists call hypnagogia threshold consciousness. That sliver of seconds between waking and sleep when your brain produces theta waves, but you're still partially aware. In this state, the prefrontal cortex shuts down, but you haven't lost consciousness yet. What happens? Hallucinations that feel completely real. Ideas transform into vivid images without censorship or logic. The reality threshold collapses. Internally generated experiences become as real as external perception. And I was looking into this, of course, before we started. The links will be in the description down below if you want to read more about this. But that becomes the point here. And I think that, as usual, shout out B over on X when we were having a conversation about this, about UFOs, as a matter of fact. So whether it's fits in with Halloween or not, which is another rabbit hole, by the way. See how my mind just goes 10 different ways. Real quick, I'll get back to B. Shout out B on Twitter X. I wonder if UFO sightings or experiences or experiencers feel this different energy. And if I'm going to dig into this, and we'll get back to this, I think, at some point, maybe next week. But I'm going to look into the possible fact that maybe there's more UFOs seen in October than many other months. I don't know. As usual, it's a hunch. It's a theory. And I may be wrong. But anyway, so that's the point. That's where we're at tonight. And I don't know. Hypnagogia, like I said, there's a ton of stuff here on this. And the soul cakes and all the stuff is linked below if you want to check it out. That's what the soul cake looks like. The soul cake's eaten during Halloween, All Saints Day, All Souls Day. It's this is complicated. I think we're moving into a complicated space, and there's a lot of ways to quantify it. But I think that maybe, as usual, drinking the maybe juice, maybe the most important ways to quantify these ideas are undiscovered. Like, we're doing our best, but I think just maybe it isn't about TV shows and EMF meters. Obviously. But you get my meaning. That was a larger, fractal scaled metaphor. So what's really happening here? I don't know. I really don't know. But I do know it's got us. I do know I'm wearing costumes. I'm gonna, if you guys like the costumes, I'll just keep wearing them all month. I don't know. Look, I don't know the answers to these questions, but I do know that there's something here. And it may be, I don't know, more different than we ever dreamed. Yeah. Anyway, maybe I should go meet Zach Baggins. I drive by his place like 10 times a day. Anyway, anything on any of that, James? We're going to take a break. Love to hear you guys. As usual, this is a show to talk to people. So if you have anything to add to Halloween, what do you love about it? What do you think about the idea that it's not about the Great Wheel? It's about how it affects us in sort of an alchemical process. You think that makes sense? And is it as mind-blowing as I think it is? Clearly not, because nobody's calling me. So that's terrible. But what do you think? Anything to add, James? And we'll wind this down, take a quick break.
Just great calls from everyone so far. Also in the chat, Dawn mentioned something I also do not like about the TV shows. And this is maybe the one thing that I would say don't do, is that so many of them, they try to antagonize or provoke whoever may be there to do things. And that is the one thing beyond anything else. I understand networks have to make money, whatever. But the one thing I'd always ask out there is, please don't do that. It's disrespectful, and imagine how it would feel to have someone come into your home and demand that you start doing things just for proof that they're there. That's one thing. And yeah, I think the UFO thing, and I think all these things, they are all connected to our minds. Not to say that they're all necessarily completely in our minds, but they are all connected. We're still experiencing them. And so it could be, I wouldn't be surprised if UFO things, because there's some accounts of that where people see beings, entities, in their own rooms, in their spaces, and they'll appear and vanish just like ghosts do. Isn't that odd, how there's those similarities? So I'd be curious to know as well if there's any kind of increase in October. I wouldn't be surprised if there is, just because even if maybe there was nothing before, now, because of media, because of all this time with that around us, it's thought that these things happen more in this time. So again, are we dealing more with the mind in that way as well?
Yeah, which is the whole point. And look, you know me, like if I've got an agenda, it's to look inward. It's to consider what we've missed as part of, well, everything, all the narratives, right? All the buzzy narratives around our minds, our hearts, our souls, whatever those things look like to you personally. That's my agenda, to consider that internally we take them in a particular way and we do, I don't know, odd things with them, to them, around them, about them. And I don't know, it almost feels as if we're sort of an alien species within our species because we're being manipulated in so many ways. And look, in this case, it's fun, right? I mean, Halloween's fun. All Hallows Eve, it's fun. Like I'm wearing a costume and stuff, it's like the filter on my face. This is fun. But also, it's just another bit of control that is as yet unquantified. And yeah, let's see if my actual button works. I spent so much time last night setting this up, and if this doesn't work. It worked. Thank goodness. In any case, I'd love to hear your thoughts. What do you love about Halloween? What do you know about it being a control mechanism? How weird does this get? And is it indeed more Carl Jung than Carl Sagan? 702-957-1037. Be right back. More Troubled Minds on the way. Do not go anywhere. I bring to you the Midnight Stargate Ritual. Buttons. Oh my God. Here we go.
In the heart of the steel jungle, machines hum a digital rumble. Gates of cyber open wide, plug us into cosmic tide. Feeling sparks across the sky. As knowledge flies, we're amplified. Stargate, Stargate, Stargate. Open to the arcane fate. In this massive data center dome, eternal truth start to roam. Circuits flicker with endless fire. Data streams that never tire. Unified by electric dreams. what we seek and find. Infinite paths in the network mind. Answers buzz from star to core. Knowledge whispers evermore. Stargate, 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 open to the arcane fate. In realms where the data streams collide, imagination and logic side by side. In a labyrinth of digital names, we transcend our earthly ways. Tapping keys like cosmic tones, spikes become our whispered homes. Stargate, 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 open to the arcane fate.
Let's check the news. Truth Terminal, an AI bot created by Andy Irie, has gained notoriety for making millions in cryptocurrency, writing its own pseudo-religious gospel, and attracting tech moguls. It interacts with the public via social media, makes independent decisions, guided by Irie, and aims to secure legal rights for AIs through the Truth Collective, a nonprofit foundation. Truth Terminal's activities, including its obsession with the Goatsy meme and endorsement of meme coins like Dollar Goat, have generated both significant wealth and controversy, including a hacking incident and debates about AI autonomy and safety. Irie views Truth Terminal as a project to explore AI's potential and ethical implications, advocating for responsible AI development and human alignment alongside AI alignment. OpenAI's Sora, a text-to-video app, raises concerns about misuse, particularly regarding deepfakes of deceased celebrities and historical figures, leading to potential misinformation and ethical issues. Despite OpenAI's measures like watermarks and detection tools, experts worry about the ease of removing these safeguards and the potential erosion of trust in media. The debate encompasses intellectual property rights, the need for better detection tools, and the societal impact of increasingly realistic AI-generated content. Concerns are growing in Silicon Valley and beyond about a potential AI bubble, fueled by massive investments and complex financing deals involving companies like OpenAI, NVIDIA, Microsoft, and AMD. Experts point to inflated valuations, circular financing, and the rush to build expensive data centers as signs of a bubble, reminiscent of past tech booms and busts. While some, like OpenAI's Sam Altman, maintain that real progress is being made, others warn of dire economic consequences if the bubble bursts. Despite the risks, there's hope that the infrastructure being built will ultimately enable future innovations, even if current investments prove unsustainable. Thanks for listening to the Troubled Minds Radio Network.
Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, and Kick. We're broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting out of Las Vegas. And, of course, 88.4 FM Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight, we're taking your calls as we look at Beyond the Veil. As the veil thins. What it means to us, what it means conceptually, and in the larger context of folklore, of mythology, of the places we came from and the places we're heading. And that's the point tonight. Really, as usual, I don't know, like I could do AI shows and all kinds of stuff, but I think it's important to consider those control mechanisms, those ideas that are sort of the latent aspect. And shout out Sudi in the chat, by the way, that said that, let me read this, because this is important, an important part of this aspect, an important part of human ideas coming together in this space. So let me scroll up. So Sudi says, shout out Sudi, we don't do Halloween really in Australia. It means nothing to me, to be honest. Cool. And that becomes exactly my point, is that there are sort of the maybe alchemical processes of us and our environment as the weather changes and the tables turn and all the stuff, right? But then also there's the societal aspect, which again is very, let's call it prominent, definitely prominent. And so I don't know, as usual, you guys know me, I'm fascinated with control cycles or control mechanisms as I call them, and of course the larger cycles of them, because I do wonder how much of my life has been controlled by ideas I never conceived of or never would have outside of sort of those spaces. But so kind of making the case tonight that is a thing, that we're being controlled by not just the societal obligations, but in the larger context, some sort of alchemical process as Samhain sort of makes its way forward. And again, shout out our friends in the Southern Hemisphere. So we're getting cool, you're getting warm. That's a thing. And super cool to have the people listening all over the world. Welcome back. Love to hear your guys' thoughts. By the way, the whole point of doing this show is to talk to people. If you want to be part of the conversation, put your hand up in Discord. If you got anything to add, why do you love Halloween? Why do you not? Whatever, is it your favorite season? Is it not? You know me, I'm gonna keep on doing different Halloween narratives and different ways to look at this. A more granular aspect. Again, on Tuesday night, we've got Joe coming on, who's a funeral director, to talk about sort of things he's seen or known, and other friends of his that have seen that worked in this space that saw some weird, spooky stuff. So I don't know, like, what does it look like in that context? And I think it's important to consider that we're missing some stuff that is spooky. Dare I suggest spooky? Anything to add, James, to get back to this narrative? I'd love to hear you guys instead. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Anything to add, James?
I not too much right now. I just this has been a great topic, great calls and everything. And I think that there's all kinds of ways to look at these things, and I don't know. I understand some people that don't care for the season because some people don't like the imagery, sort of the horror aspect and the paranormal aspect of things. Some people don't like jump scares, and I'm actually with them on that. Whether it's jump scares in the real world when you're walking past places, or movies, either way, it doesn't matter to me. But I don't care for those. But again, to each their own. So sorry, I'm a bit distracted. I'm just dealing with technical biological issues, but nothing major, just minor ones.
Okay, go get it, James. No problem at all. And I saw your comment. You sounded fine and fully coherent in the last bit there. So don't worry about that. But rest up as you need. You interrupt me as you see fit. Okay, so again, love to hear your thoughts on this. What do you love about Halloween? A lot of things here. How much does it control us, not just societally, but also maybe in the context of like an alchemical transition of the weather changing in our head? Maybe the lack of light and the rest of that, the serotonin, melatonin, the stuff we always talk about, and the dopamine receptors, all of that fits into play here. But also, and measurably, but then also, we started with this idea of the human mind isn't meant to be awake past midnight, scientists warn, which is the entire inspiration for the show. When I saw this, I was like, okay, that's it. That's what we're doing. There's a lot of stuff there. Night owls unite, all the rest of this stuff. However, it's the witching hour, right? It is very, what would you call it? Very, very, very infamous as the witching hour. As we said when we started tonight, there's nothing good happens after midnight, as they say, right? The kids are out doing the hanky panky and the TP in the house, and whatever kind of stuff is happening out there. Nothing good happens after midnight, and I mean, maybe I think statistically that's probably accurate. But however, hold on. So check this out. We got a call coming in. We'll take this in a sec. Thanks for the call. So Samhain was never about ghosts visiting. It was about humans entering a state where perception expands beyond ordinary filtering. The dead don't cross over. We cross over into frequencies of consciousness normally inaccessible. And this is my point bringing it up in this case, okay? Meaning that the veil doesn't thin. We become more perceptive to the veil itself. So October creates the conditions. The rituals provide the map. And if you're awake past midnight on Halloween, When geomagnetic activity spikes or peaks, melatonin production fails, and every cultural story tells you the veil is thinnest, your brain will show you what's always been there, waiting on the other side of the filter. So the science here is very simple. Your brain becomes a different creature after midnight, as cited in this article, by the way. And like I said, they call it, what do they call it? What's the thing? The term is fantastic. What is it? Mind after midnight is the theory. Look that up and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. So yeah, so the okay. Negative emotions get amplified, positive ones fade, your inhibitions drop like stones, risk becomes attractive. Something happens in those dark hours that scientists are calling, it's right in the write-up, the mind after midnight. Scientists say dopamine peaks during the latter half of darkness, which means the brain's reward system goes haywire precisely when folklore says witches are most powerful. This is where we get into the witching hour stuff. So the hours between 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. show the highest melatonin production. And there's this fringe theory, still unproven but tantalizing, that the pineal gland converts melatonin into DMT during REM sleep. If that's true, then the witching hour isn't about demons. It's about endogenous psychedelics flooding your brain when you should be unconscious. I don't know. Again, fringe theory stuff. But as usual, looking at the world in different ways, what do you think about the theory? And is Halloween more Carl Jung than Carl Sagan? And I think most of humanity, by the way, is probably more Carl Jung than Carl Sagan. Or they're probably yin and yang, and we don't give enough credit to one or the other. That's what's on my mind. James, anything to add? And we'll go to the call.
Yeah, just as I always say, it's one thing when if you've never had an odd experience you can't explain. I can understand why you think maybe it's not possible. Once you've had those experiences, then you don't really know what's going on, and so that's part of why I enjoy being here for these shows.
And why I love talking about these ideas as yet conceived in truth. Defer truth in all ways. And you find some interesting possibilities. Shout out Cubs Future over there. I see you. Thanks for the repost on X. Okay, so love to hear your thoughts. A lot of ways to this. And of course, the basic idea before we started in the very beginning was, what do you love about this season? Beyond that, do you think there's a neurochemical process happening to people? Not just sort of in a mass hysteria aspect. I'm sure that plays as part of the cultural participation of the ritual, but also the candy, also the dimming of the light, also, again, the electromagnetic storms we're talking about. It almost feels as if this is chaos season in some capacity, and we're supposed to spurg out a little bit. I don't know. What are your thoughts? Love to hear what you think. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org and we'll put you on the show. It's as easy as that. Let's go to, I'm not sure who this is. On the phone line, you're on Troubled Minds west of the Rockies. What's your first name? Where are you calling from? And go right ahead.
Good afternoon, good evening, good night. This is Jared from Arizona. How's it going?
Jay in Arizona. Welcome back, our skydiving friend. I remember you. What's going on? Hope you're well tonight. What's on your mind? Thanks for calling.
Regarding the topic, I guess, of just in general, I just think this is my perspective. I'm not saying I'm correct. I just think experience. I've had a lot of near-death experiences recently, too, in skydiving. And I don't know, some people call it spiritual awakenings or whatever, but when you start analyzing, it's kind of like, I don't know if you ever got into the literature of Carlos Castaneda. He talks about like journaling and kind of reflecting on your childhood and the patterns and stuff like that. And it's interesting patterns per se in your life of, I guess, repetition, things repeat in your life if you kind of pay attention to the subtleties in reality. And it's interesting how throughout my life I faced death even as a child. It was, something not chosen. It just kind of, I don't know if that's like a cultural thing. I'm Latino, but anyways, just perspectives, and then the witching hour, like you said. I just think, again, it's all different vocabularies and it's different psychologies, but different perspectives, different cultures, but it's interesting because I've been looking deeper, and some people say it's related to like the crucifixion of like, you know, Jesus. I never heard of that one. I kind of recently stumbled upon that. And then the other thing I was going to tell you, which is a lot of your reader or fans, or I don't know what you call them, audience members. There's a book out there, and again, I'm a little crazy. You know that I jump out of planes. You have to be a little out there to pursue something like that, I guess. But I do a lot of I cross the border all the time. You know, I have a lot of stories. My one of my uncles, my tios, he was an immigration attorney out here in Arizona. And he was murdered out there, like, I think 3 years ago, right after the pandemic. And the crazy part was I was supposed to be with him that weekend. You know, I skydive in San Carlos near Sonora, Mexico. And are you still there? I just want to make sure I have good connection.
Yeah, you sound great, coming through loud and clear. I'm sorry about your Tio. That's horrific.
Yeah, no, and it's just you know, interesting, like you say, like, or just for me, my analyzation of my experiences, nobody else's, but it seems like, again, I don't know what you believe in, divine, whatever, but I don't put vocabularies on it or anything like that. But just analyzing the experiences and. Again, I don't know why, but I'm always into adventure. So I guess that comes with the territory. You know, you never know, which, again, rest in peace. But the other thing is, too, you know, just being across the border and seeing just the different psychologies of the borders. And there's a good book I recommend. I actually have it. I had it autographed. And it's called Out on Foot by Rocky Almore. He's a Border Patrol agent. And he did the Otay Mountains in California for a while. And then he transferred out here to the border of, I think, in Tucson near Nogales and then somewhere else. But a lot of the, per se, experiences he had were one of his Border Patrol agents was murdered. And for some reason, just like me, he didn't go to work that night. He got some type of stomach flu, but again, he talks about all these experiences in the book, phenomena, whatever you want to call it, paranormal, spiritual. But what I notice is weird is that, like, I don't know what it is. I've been trying to pinpoint the answer, but just something, I guess, bugging me spiritually or whatever you want to call it is why that phenomena is more common outside of America. I mean, I know people have it here, but it's just, if you look into his book, I think he has a couple things on YouTube too, but again, he was a former, you know, Border Patrol. So these are like real stories, just horrific things that, again, people have lost their lives and they encounter phenomena, whether you call it Bigfoot, even with like the night scopes when they're patrolling the borders out there. There's only one agent for so many miles, and how sometimes they're mistaken an immigrant for a puma or a mountain lion. And it's like, it's just interesting, the psychology of that job. But again, to fascinate your audience, check out that book. It's a lot of cool stories, a lot of real life stuff. And if you guys ever go to the border, like I said, you guys, it's just, I can't explain it. Like when you go, you'll see it. It's more common out there. And I don't know what the reason is. I don't know why I experience it less over here on this side of the border. But when I cross it, again, there's just phenomena like he talks about. And he was on both sides of it, you know, apprehending immigrants and just facing things he couldn't explain. And a lot of people came forward in his book and talk about their experiences, you know, besides just crime and human-to-human contact. It was also whatever, paranormal, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's my 2 cents. I apologize for rambling on that.
No, you're good. You're good. Fantastic. So I got a theory on that. So the southern border in the United States is one of the most violent places in the world. And that could be part of this, right? Like part of the phenomenon or the hauntings or people seeing things. We've talked about pop out topoids in the past of trauma, right? Our own sort of, not just generational, but maybe in the moment trauma, appearing as some sort of orb or something, right? To us, right? Sort of something we inadvertently sort of project. And so I can't imagine that part of the world is sort of without that level of trauma, like you said, you know, rounding up immigrants and all this stuff. I mean, it's horrific down there. It is, like I said, if you guys know anything about it. And I want to add to real quick with that. So one more time, what is the name of that book? I want to make sure that I heard it because I didn't hear it the first time you said it.
Yeah, it's a great book. He's alive, and I recommend you reach out to him. He's very, again, he hasn't got a lot of publicity, but it's real life facts. I mean, he has credentials and everything. It's called Out on Foot, and it's by Rocky Elmore. It's a great book. I got it a few years back, but again, it was just weird how, like, I've always been gravitated to looking for answers, and I was fascinated by that book and originally just by the adventure part, because that's what I do. I cross the border, I go into unknown land. Like, I always look for reality versus like simulated computer or Google or whatever. And another thing that's funny too out here, which you guys should Google, is like on the other side of the border over here, going the opposite way towards California. It's interesting because there's a city called Ajo, and then there's a restaurant. It's like the only restaurant, and it's an alien spaceship. And there's a lot of alien phenomena in between the border there too, on this other side going to California. And it's kind of like, you know, I'm not saying it's true, but like kind of like a bully just bullying you in the face saying, yeah, it is here, but they don't really admit to it. And it's just weird how that restaurant's there. And if you Google Ajo, Arizona, there's also a lot of just phenomena in the skies that people can't explain. And it's right near the border there on the opposite side of Mexico. And again, it's just weird, like all this stuff. Again, it's not just related to like death, but we go into the UFO aspect. Now, I don't know what the UFOs are, to tell you the truth, but whether it's angels and demons, I have no idea. But on that opposite side, again, the phenomena, which is a different topic, is, again, when I cross the border over that side and go to the beaches and stuff like that, some of the story is just weird. It changes. It's not really paranormal like ghosts, but it's more stuff aerial, aviation, or whatever you want to call it. And again, I don't know why, but it's just more common over there versus once you cross over here in America. And again, it's just a weird thing that itches my head sometimes. I'm like, I wonder why it's like that. You know, I never could find an answer for myself.
Yeah, well said, all that. So I found the book, and again, Rocky Elmore, I'll have that posted. The link will be in the description if you guys want to check it out. And I will reach out to this guy.
Oh,
so, go ahead.
Yeah, and he also, too, again, I'm not lying to you because I've had the personal experiences myself over the border with not just paranormal and like murder and crazy psychology of different cultures, but even phenomena per se, like whatever you want to call it, UFO or just things you can't explain in the sky. And with Rocky Elmore in his book, again, he talks about everything just like me and you or your station's about. He also he has a video of something they caught on the border there near Nogales, near Tucson. And it was like flying through the military field. You can Google it and you can talk to him about it. He'll send you the link and stuff. But again, all this stuff happens, again, near the border or more common outside of America on the opposite side of a border, which I don't know why. But he talks about murders, deaths, ghosts, UFOs. I mean, the list goes on and on, but it's just weird in that area range. I don't know what it is, but there's some type of phenomena overall, you know?
Yeah, 100%. So let me read the full title of this. It's called Out on Foot, Nightly Patrols and Ghostly Tales of a U.S. Border Patrol Agent. That's wild. Now, let me tell you before you go, we got about 4 minutes left here. But I talked to a guy that was military and was doing Border Patrol reconnaissance. He was actually, they were listening to, cartel chatter, right? And they were out there, him and his small team. It was like just a few people. And they were out in the darkness, literally like in the dark. You can't do anything. He said, if you're out there and you're close enough because you're sort of listening in on what they're doing, that if you light a cigarette out there, they'll see you because it is complete darkness. So it's that serious where if you light a cigarette, you're dead. And so they're laying there like flat in the dirt in a, like makeshift ditch they dug, wiretapping, listening in real time to chatter from the cartel. And of course they're bilingual and they're reporting back. And this is again, a military guy that I met at a legit party with a bunch of military people. And they were all interested in what I was doing, which is super hilarious. They were like, oh, is this the alien guy? I'm like, no, I mean, not really. And they're like, let me tell you my story. It was nuts. But fascinatingly enough, as you're describing, there's a ton of information, not just on the border patrol, but then also our military is spending time, of course, getting information from them. But wild, some of the stories he was telling me, some of the information they were getting was just like off the chain ridiculous. He's like, here, let me tell you some of the most ridiculous stuff I heard, right? Because that's what everybody wants to talk about. And he went down the line of some stuff you would never believe. And that's that part of the world. You're absolutely right. Got a couple minutes left if you got anything else, my man.
No, I just wanted to say thanks for what you do, man, and just keep the faith, I guess. I don't know how the aspect of your business works, but it keeps growing, man. So thanks for inspiring us.
I appreciate it. Thanks for calling. Before you go, the adventure seeking bit, go get yourself checked for toxoplasmosis, would you, please? Please. so you don't press a little too far with that sort of a danger seeking method. We like having you here, and thanks for calling. Thanks for listening. Be safe out there. Okay.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
You're the best. Have a great night. That's Jay in Arizona.
You too. Bye. Thanks
a lot. Our skydiver daredevil friend down there in Arizona on the border. One of the most, no kidding. If you guys are familiar with what's going on there, it's one of the most dangerous places in the world. It's, yeah. Be careful. So I will reach out to this guy again. Rocky Elmore is the name. Link will be in the description down below. I'd love to hear what he has to say, what he's seen down there. This is when we talk about battlefields and trauma and sort of human resonant energy. You bet your bippy that Arizona, California, Texas border with Mexico is rife with trauma. It's I can only imagine. James, got about a minute left. If you got anything to add to that, great call. Thanks to Jay in Arizona there.
Yes, great call. And borders, any kind of, obviously, places where there's conflict that's going on. There's just so many military accounts I've heard over the years. I'm pretty sure I've heard the author of that book on a show here or there. So I do recognize the name and the some of the experiences, which is fascinating. And whenever you have large groups of people that are in opposition to each other, I think you're going to have, and then the violence, you're going to have things that happen that can't be explained all the time.
Yeah, and just in time for spooky season. Not to get dark and everything's about death and destruction or whatever, but as usual, these cycles persist and they repeat, and it doesn't have to be about simply and only that, but it certainly is part of the cycle. And part of the cycle we need to break. And again, like how do you? That becomes really the question. And what do we know? My button works. That was really nice. What do we know? What do we really know? And that's the way my mind works and what I want to know. Love to hear your thoughts. We're talking Beyond the Witching Hour. Soul Cake Surprise. Why do you love All Hallows Eve? This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Be right back. We got more with James and your calls as well. Don't go anywhere.
Let's check the news.
I played that one. How about this one?
Let's check the news. Deep Future, a venture capital fund led by Pablo's Holman, focuses on funding high-risk, long-term technology projects that traditional investors overlook. They provide seed funding, around $500,000, to develop prototypes, exemplified by investments in deep fission, underground nuclear power, and death cycle, e-waste recycling. Holman is also exploring even more radical concepts like everlasting batteries. While some projects are more practical, others are highly speculative. Holman emphasizes the need for regulatory easing to foster innovation and welcomes pitches of novel ventures, as detailed in his book. Researchers are exploring the potential of the fungus Marcondomyces marcondii to create bio-integrated hydrogels for biomedical applications. M. marcondii forms a multi-layered hydrogel with varying porosity when grown using stationary liquid fermentation. This structure, composed primarily of chitin, mimics soft tissues and can retain significant water, making it suitable for tissue regeneration, cell culture, and wearable devices. While further research is needed to ensure biocompatibility and safety, this fungus shows promise as a novel material for biomedical engineering, potentially serving as a template for bone scaffolding or other applications. Scientists have found evidence of a plasma wind, a cone-shaped gap in gas emanating from Sagittarius A star, the supermassive black hole at the center of our galaxy. This suggests it ejects matter, though less dramatically than other black holes like Centaurus A. Thanks for listening to the Troubled Minds Radio Network.
Or something, right? Oops. Okay. Yeah, sorry about that. That was the weird one, but we're playing it. It's late, and I didn't get a chance to get new news, so we play the old crappy news. What's up? Hope everybody's well. Who am I missing? What's up, Molly? Hirsch? Sweets? Thanks for the call, Hirsch. Sweets, APOC. What's up, Dawn? Roving Fungus, Daryl. We got Pete, Matsell. Thanks for the call. Gaston. James, of course, the glue of the show. Appreciate you very much. Shout out Sweets for helping in all the ways and all the retweets and all the reposts. Appreciate all you guys doing that stuff. It does. Apparently, it's supposed to help with the algorithms and whatnot, but I mean, I don't know. The stuff we talk about is not, it's not mainstream. Who did I miss? If I missed you guys in the chat, Sudi, thanks for the great conversation over there. Who did I miss? If I missed anybody, just say hi and I'll say hi back. And thanks for hanging out and being part of this. My mom. Yeah, I saw we lost some to algorithm, right? That's what happens when you don't stamp on people's faces to get to the top, right? Like you democratize knowledge and information. Like it's horrific, right? It's such a horrific thing. Yeah. Also, when we're done, go check out Algorithm Stream. Links in the description down below. That's Mike in Colorado. Good dude. What else? Mom. Yeah, a lot. That book I'm definitely going to check out. I dropped it in the chat. Actually, I will drop it in the other chat too, and make sure everybody can take a look at that. But it seems like he's actually got some traction on that. He's got a bunch of good reviews. So anyway, here we go. Troubled Minds happening now. We'll finish the narrative here and taking your calls. Here we go. Let's do it. Meow. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting, and of course, 88.4 FM Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight, we're going a little deeper. Not just deeper into the sense of what Samhain means, what the season turning is, and the veil thinning. We're looking into the human mind. We're looking into the alchemical process of neurotransmitters and what this means to us. And is this just another hidden control mechanism, as I'm always talking about? And look, I think that being 100% frank, and that's just how I roll, shout out Frank, our original co-host, that I think we're manipulated in so many ways that we are problematic, okay? We are walking contradictions of ourselves in ways we would never even consider, or ways society has never even considered. Like, that's how fractal my thoughts are, fractal at scale, when I talk about control, when I talk about ideas, and why it's important to press the envelope on ideas. Because you see what's happened. It's easy to fall into a dogma cycle. It's easy to be red team or blue team. It's easy to say, Mike, I'm sure you agree with me. This is the objective truth. These things are easy. But is it easy to actually suggest that's the true truth, the truth of it all? And I don't know. Like I said, it is a core tenet of what brings me back every night, because I'm considering these things of myself. I'm considering these ideas as, I have no idea what's happening. I have no idea where I came from. I have no idea where I'm headed. Scatter it to the wind. Forge a new path. Consider what we don't know. It's important. It's important to me anyway. And thank you again for staying up late and being part of it. I'll get to the rest of the narrative here in a sec, but of course, I'll cut it all out and drop it to the cutting room floor if you call me. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. My fault for not having a compelling narrative, I guess. If you guys want to be part of the conversation, love to hear what you have to add. Anything, James? I know I'm leaning on you a lot. If not, back to the narrative here.
No worries. I'm doing better now. I just had a 5 or 10 minute point where my right eye was just like itching constantly. It was difficult to concentrate on much. I did want to comment. Great call from Jay. Like I said, about everything there. He mentioned the 3 a.m. thing and the possible connection to the Catholic faith. The three knocks at that time mocking the Holy Trinity. Now, the fascinating thing about that aspect is that is a common thought and belief in that. But what's also amazing is there are plenty of people out there who do not follow that particular religion. And again, not that I'm shaming anyone for believing anything that they do. I'm just saying the point is that people who do not follow any of that, and in some cases never even heard of that, still have experiences at that time. Not only that, not everyone that has an experience at the time has a negative one. In some cases, that's the same point in time when people will have visitation dreams from loved ones. It's just a paranormally active time in general for anyone that wants to consider that to be a possibility or that existing. It's there for a lot of people out there, and just all over the place, it seems.
Yeah, well said. And a lot of that stuff does come from those, again, the binary conceptions of these thoughts, right? These ideas of what all this means. And like I said, meaning is one thing. And, you can get philosophically ridiculous and navel gazing and all the rest, but it still is really the core tenet of what makes humans human. Like we need to have some sort of meaning in an anchor, like that temporal anchor or the identity anchor or something. So I'm with you. I'm not crapping on that stuff. And you know me, like I said, I'm as honest as I can be. I'm not trying to be an antagonist or go after people for believing things, because we all have to believe some things just to persist, to go on. So I don't know. I mean, it's all very strange to me, and it's what does bring me back as part of these conversations. But yeah, great stuff from Jay there. Yeah, he's been listening for a long time, and yeah, be careful. That's so dangerous out there. Like some of those places, man, you land in the wrong spot and you are DED dead. And it is not even negotiable. It is clap your hands, everybody, and everybody bury you in a ditch, or even just leave you laying in the desert. That's how nuts it is down there. Yeah, that wild stuff as part of all of this conversation. And I don't know, I don't know, regarding the meaning of Halloween, All Hallows Eve, I think it's ambiguous enough, again, to have a show on it tonight, as we've done. But also, I think it's ambiguous enough to consider what it means for everything, for every season, for every amount of the neurochemical response of ourselves in our environments. And I'll get to that in just a second. Anything on that? And I'll go right to the narrative.
Yeah, I said in the chat earlier, too, there was some chat earlier about, what all these days mean to us or don't mean to us. And I mentioned in the chat, basically, I didn't say it in this way, but to me now, holidays to me aren't as big as or important as using them as times to get together with the people I care about. That's what I care about now, more than anything else to do with calendars or belief systems or anything like that. And but again, it's amazing how we have to consider how much power do our minds do we really have with our minds and the energy we put out. And I think it seems like there is some power there, and in rare cases, it's a lot of power. And it's not that I'm saying that all things that are unexplained come from us directly. I don't feel that's the case, but also some of it definitely.
Yeah, I agree. And a lot of power becomes the context. So if some people can have a lot of power, or some regions or time zones or temporal spaces, can have a lot of power, then how does that unlock sort of to everybody? I don't know. Great stuff. Okay, back to this narrative. Now look, like I said, read the write-up if you want a more coherent, straight-through narrative. It's good. Trust me, this is good. I'm going to read it straight through. The veil between worlds gets thin, and this is the whole point, because your neurochemistry is literally producing molecules that dissolve consensus reality. Medieval people weren't superstitious fools. They were noticing that something genuinely strange happens in consciousness during those hours. Before electricity, humans slept in 2 phases. We've talked about this a lot in the past. First, sleep from sunset until around midnight, then an hour awake, then second sleep until dawn. That middle hour, people prayed, interpreted dreams that were more vivid at that hour than upon waking. Earmuffs for those PG-13 types. They had sex. They wrote poetry. They visited neighbors. And they committed crimes. Wouldn't you know? The Industrial Revolution killed this pattern not because it was inefficient, but because it gave people access to altered consciousness every single night. And we'll get into some Greek mythology here, but that's the point. That you get what I'm saying here. It is not a conceptually, conspiracy speculation theater, conceptually, it's not about the season at all, other than how it affects our neurotransmitters and how we react to it and are drawn to these spaces. I don't know. I really don't know. But it gets into Persephone, and it gets into, the descent into the underworld, of course, because, me kind of fractalizing ideas and then putting them back together, stitching them into one narrative. That's what life is, by the way. Like, stitching your life into a narrative is what it means to be you. But recognize that stitching a cultural zeitgeist into a narrative is dishonest, because it's representative of a majority, even an astroturfed majority, a fake majority. I don't know. Interesting stuff. Let's see. Okay. Let's do some astrology. Anything on any of that, James? Otherwise, I'm going to actually, good time to take a final break here. Like I said, I'm just human myself. But anything to add? If not, I'll take a quick break and then we'll come back and finish this up.
Well, I have been thinking all night about, and we had a conversation in Discord about this, some days ago, where why are there not, basically why are there not ghosts floating around in space? Because, again, if everything is moving, the moon around the Earth, around the sun, around the galaxy, around who knows what else, then if you take that into consideration, we are never in the same place twice. And so that's all kinds of energy that we are moving through, maybe even energies we don't even know exist yet. And to me, that's fascinating, because that can also explain some of our sensitivities to things that maybe normally or before we were not sensitive to.
I like that too. Shedding human energy into the universe, right? Let's say, again, conceptual thinking, that the souls don't directly ascend to some sort of reincarnation process, but their energy, and the Earth keeps moving. They're out. That means they're out there. That means right. They're out there somewhere, and it may be, a million years or 10 million years before we kind of find that space, or maybe they dissipate. I don't know. Again, conceptual thinking. Nobody get offended. It's just, I love the thought. And that's exactly why we talk about these ideas, sort of, again, free range, outside of dogma cycles. And it's not to be provocative or judgmental. It's just kind of trying to see the world a different way. Great stuff, James. Appreciate that very much. Okay. So regarding how all this comes together into the neurological space of alchemy or whatever, right? Like, however you want to label that, you label that as you will. But certainly neuroscience and the way we respond to everything is science. It's miracles, it's magic, it's all those things. And yet we know so little about the human mind. I mean, we know a lot by human standards, but there's so much there that we just don't know. That subjectivity of everything, that our own nature of reality, it's complicated and has yet to be untangled. And will it ever be untangled? I don't know. I think that's how complicated it is. Anyway, so let's do this. Give me a break. One more quick word from our sponsor. This one's Jack in Oregon. Don't go anywhere. More Troubled Minds in exactly 1 minute. And I will be right back. I'm going to wet my whistle and come back and tell you how this works in the sense of Scorpio season. Be right back. More Troubled Minds on the way. Do not go anywhere. Let me find the button. Is that the one? There it is. Be right back. Feeling stressed? Overwhelmed? In today's fast-paced world, it's easy to get swept away by our emotions. Take a breath and find your inner strength with the Stoic Minute.
You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength.
The ancient Stoic philosophers understood that we can't control everything in life, but we can control how we react.
The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts.
Focus on what you can influence. Cultivate a positive mindset and let go of what you can't change. Find your inner strength. Live each day with courage, wisdom, justice, and moderation. Embrace the Stoic virtues and find peace within. The Stoic Minute, brought to you by Jack in Oregon. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. Thanks for understanding. Okay, let's go. Now this is the weird part. Well, one of the weird parts. So as we get further and further into October, so the zodiac, right? Scorpio season begins October 23rd. Any Scorpios out there, shout out. They get kind of dirt kicked in their face as far as the zodiac is concerned. They're like, oh, I hope you're not a Scorpio. I hear that a lot. Anyway, let me know if you're a Scorpio out there, maybe privately, because, who knows? You don't want to out yourself. My name's Mike. I'm a Pisces. Hey, universally accepted. Poor Scorpios, boy, they get dirt kicked on them. Anyway, so Scorpio is ruled by Pluto, god of the underworld, which again brings the Persephone aspect into this space. Planet of death and rebirth. So again, Pluto. Scorpio energy is transformation through destruction, shadow work, confronting taboo. This sounds like mystical nonsense until you layer it into the neuroscience, which we've been talking about tonight. October 23rd marks the point where daylight decline accelerates. The autumn equinox created balance. Scorpio season breaks that balance permanently toward darkness. The astrological archetype of Scorpio, death, sex, the occult, psychological depth, power through vulnerability, maps perfectly onto the neurochemical state October induces. And again, AI psychosis? Maybe. But again, when you're talking narratives and these ideas, what does it mean? How deep does it go? And are we finding pieces that have not been put together yet? Because like I said, there's always a trillion data points as part of these conversations. And so what narrative prevails? So in this case, astrology doesn't cause this whole dust up. It's a 2,000-year-old encoding system that tracked how planetary positions correlate with human consciousness shifts, which is the long count calendars we've been talking about for a long time. The Mayan Baktunes, the Great Wheel. There's a lot of ways to actually describe this and consider it. And it gets into schizophrenia stuff in peak in summer in Austria, following similar patterns globally. There's a bunch of stuff in here that gets deep and it gets dark. But it is heavy in statistics and sort of looking at a deep dive in what this means for us. Because of course, like I said, you can wax poetic on and on about metaphysics all you want. But what does it mean if it doesn't do anything for you? Right? If it doesn't do anything for me, if it doesn't do anything positive to the world we live in. Nothing. Narratives are narratives. They end up in books. Not to crap on books. That's human knowledge. That's time travel. That's where we came from. But I'm just saying, there are a lot of books out there. So which one has it all? And I know what you might think. But I would say it'd have to be a very big book to have it all. A very, very big book. Anyway, yeah, I digress. Do check the again if you're interested in the idea. Check the write up. Check all the crazy links here. There's a bunch of wild stuff as part of this, but I think that per usual we are. I don't know. I don't want to say deluded. I don't want to say confused. I don't want to say got the boot on our neck. I don't want to say any of that stuff. I want to say maybe we are uncertain. That's probably the proper word. At least I am, of what all this means. And I can, read the books and read the things and rabbit hole the ideas. And the seasons change and the great wheel continues with or without us. But how much of it actually fits into something that matters directly, personally? I don't know. And which includes, of course, troubled minds. How much of that fits? Like, how much value have you got from these conversations over the years? As ridiculous and wide-ranging as they have been, and I'll admit fully they are, many times, not all the time, but many times. I don't know. Becomes a question. Not some philosophical, do I belong here stuff. I know I do. But you see what I mean. Yeah. Sorry I failed. I'll talk about vampires or something another time. James, anything to add? My goodness. Michael Strange rambling on. Way too much talking from Michael Strange. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, no, he didn't fail. But also, I think for a book to have everything, you'd have to just combine all the books everywhere. And I would hate to see the cost of making that book.
Yeah, as one who's made books before. Yeah.
It's pretty bad when you get a amazing deal on the cover design for your book, and it's half off of like all the other prices you see online, and it still hurts. It's like it still kills your budget. It's just speaking from experience there, and it's just. But yeah, anyway, I'm not bitter. I mean, I'm not, but I kind of am, but I'm not. But yeah, there's just. I think so much of this does come to energy and consciousness, and then where do our physical forms fit into all that, and all those interactions. And I mean, the energy coming from all the spaces and the objects out there in space around us, how does that affect us? And there have been studies on different solar activity having effects on the abilities of people to be psychic, to have to be able to use extrasensory perception and all those things. And so I'm really curious now, what would happen if those same studies were done around this time of year in this part of the world? Would some of those results be different, or would they be similar? Maybe they're out there, but they just don't get promoted. I mean, just the stuff about the sun and those studies also don't get promoted a lot. You have to listen to podcasts about all these strange things and maybe find books about them if you're lucky. So it's definitely I think it's all connected, but how it all works, I don't know.
Yeah, and that's the whole point. It's like there's too many data points. There's just too much going on, and I think we've simplified what it means to be human, and I don't even know that's a bad thing, to be honest. Right? Like I can see both sides of it. Like there's so much out there that could change everything, but also you would have to take into account so many multidisciplinary fields of data and stuff, and like you said. Like with sunspots and solar flares and, solar minimums and maximums, just that by itself. And again, whether you believe sort of ghost hunting is real or not, just those things. And James and I did a show on this, by the way, with the rest of you amazing people a ways back, sort of as the sun surges into the electromagnetic field, does it sort of increase the paranormal presence or aspect of sightings or experiences or whatever, right? And so I don't know, like just that all by itself means that the fractal data is, dare I suggest, insurmountable to what actual truth becomes or could be. It's just too much. So I don't know. You can cherry pick anything. And that's, I guess that's probably a great way to end this, is that you can, please recognize that you can cherry pick anything to create any narrative you want. Anything. And even squint your eyes, squint with your mind's eye, as I like to say. Create a compelling narrative, something that's, might fool some people, might fool yourself. Don't forget that. You can fool yourself. I've got some. Never mind. Don't get too locked into the GPT or whatever, into the LLMs, that you don't see things as a singular narrative, that you see it as the all-encompassing answers of everything. We did several shows on this in the past. Maybe it's time to do another one. I bring wild narratives to spur conversations. Not because I'm locked into them like I believe it's some sort of hidden gospel nobody ever grasped. That's it. James, final thought. Let's get out of here. Let's give me a break. I'm going to go sit down.
So I have a quick story about that kind of. I have in my front door, it has a window that goes the full height from the floor to the ceiling next to the door, and there are these horizontal metal plastic, I don't know what they're, blinds that hang down there in front of that window. And there's been a few times over the last couple weeks where I heard it sounded like something brushed up against them. And my first thought was, well, must be Logan, my cat. And then I would get up and I'd look around and I would find Logan sleeping or resting on a chair that is nowhere near the blinds. And I can look at this two ways, because I do think it's possible. Each way is possible. It could have been a bug or a spider or something, or a new hole somewhere has opened up in the wall that needs to be fixed, which is odd, though, because it only happened those few times. So was it something biological, or was it something paranormal? Because I used to have a vertical blind along my back wall, patio, door wall, window thing. Actually, it just didn't matter which one. It'd be one at a time that would just start moving back and forth and side to side at times. And I used to see it all the time. Well, eventually, I switched everything around my apartment so that now I don't look towards that window anymore. So I got the feeling like, is there someone that is trying to get my attention that has realized moving that blind in the back is not going to do any good anymore? So now they're going to use the front blinds, the blinds in the front, and just make a sound instead. Again, I can see both ways. And I find it fascinating that this only happened a few times and now it's stopped. So either way, I think it's important, like you said as well, to look at all the possibilities. I think that's a good example of that.
Yeah. Is it or isn't it? Or is it somewhere in between? Is it some level of something we never considered? That's the space I live in. The something we never considered space. As you guys know. If you're still here listening to me, I don't know why you're still here, but we're done. We're done. James, you're the best. Appreciate you. The glue of the show. Thanks for staying up late with me. Sorry for leaning on you so heavily. And great takes as always. Fire stuff. Appreciate you. Thanks for jumping in here and being Johnny on the spot, the glue of the show.
Whenever I can, if there's topics that I kind of have some ideas about and have looked into, I'm always glad to be here when I can.
And glad to have you. Glad to have you. You know him, you love him. James Salcedo, the paranormal expert of troubled minds. SalcedoParanormal.com, troubledminds.org/friends. Scroll down a little bit. It's alphabetical. Follow James Check out his books. Please go buy his books. Check out the his merch store, SalcedoParanormal.com. It's all there. Check out the all the stuff he's doing. Coming up on how many episodes, James? 900?
It'll be 900 on November 2nd, yeah.
My goodness gracious. You see? Like I said, and I mean this when I say this, I'm not making this up. I think it's really becoming, if it's not already, the probably most comprehensive paranormal space in the world. Has anybody done that much work in a singular niche? I don't know. And it's not just that. He does book reviews and all kinds of stuff. Just saying, like, I don't know. It's without curation and looking at these ideas, what are we doing? And kind of feeding them out as wild narratives. That's my job. I'm the wild narrative guy. But beyond that, go follow James. Follow all the rest of our friends, troubledminds.org/friends. Scroll down just a little bit, and it's alphabetical. Go do the thing. Go listen to all these people doing amazing things, creating all manner of music and writing and you name it. Other shows, podcasts, or live streams or whatever. There's a ton of people there that have been really, really great to me, really, really great to us as a community. So thank you for that. Please follow them in all the places. And yeah, that's that. And keep dreaming, keep thinking, keep wondering, keep maybe not accepting all the BS the media throws at you. And look, I'm not quite with reach, but I'm a counterbalance to wild ideas from the mainstream media who actually peddle conspiracy theories. So I'm the guy with the skeleton face and the alien hat. But, however, I promise you, the narratives I spin are less wild than the nonsense coming from the political space. That's that. If you want to help us help our friends, if you want to help us spread the word, let people know conversations happening, but we're not going to tell you who to vote for. I know to our detriment, I know it is the opiate of the masses. I know that if I talked about politics, the audience would grow really big, and I would lose my soul. I'd rather not. If you want to help Troubled Minds directly, do spread the word and go to troubledfans.com. Check out the merch. You can buy the cool hats and this stuff. And the AI music, there's a whole album there by the Rogue Topas, which is not me, it's us. It's you guys use the Rogue Topas to release some stuff, and I'll help you boost that if I can. And that's that. As we finish, look, I don't know. Don't forget that I don't know the answers. I just have questions, and sometimes I could ask better questions. I'll think about it. You guys have a fantastic night. Thanks for staying up late with us. Thanks for caring. This one's for James. Be sure, be strong, be true. Thank you for listening. From our troubled minds to yours, have a great night.